Malkovich, like Malkovich, and then it's Malkovich. Oh, Malkovich, yes.
John Malkovich.
Revival House Network.
Howdy, folks. Another Cinema Enema here. We got Zach and myself, Aaron, and this is a Zach month. It's a Zach month.
Oh, yes.
If you guys aren't privy to the Cinema Enema podcast or you're new to the channel, please take a second to peruse what we have as far as in the archives. Also, please take a second to like the video, all that bullshit, and please subscribe to us if you're brand new. But the way Cinema Enema works, in contrast to something like our commentaries or Mac and Zach Save the World, it's more of a discussion-based podcast where we pick a topic. It may be a film, it may be a filmmaker, it may be a genre, and we sort of just have a chat about it. And then we talk about stuff like news, and we talk about what we've been watching. You know, a lot of stuff that we don't always get to when we're just watching a shitty movie. But anyway, we usually take turns, and Zach has chosen this week, and we'll get into that. First, though, we always talk about news, if there is any, and then we talk about what we've been watching, and then we'll get into the meat of the hour. But let me fix this shit. Did you catch up on any news, Zach? Did you have anything in regards to that?
I got nothing. There's nothing fucking happening in the world. Fucking, it's all fucking horseshit. It's all horseshit.
I was trying to think. What do you think about Halloween Kills going straight to Peacock?
Fucking, it doesn't surprise me. Everybody's acting like fucking this is. I didn't see this happening. It's like it's only been fucking happening for a fucking year now.
But what was the point of delaying it last year if they were just gonna do the same damn thing?
Because they were hoping it fucking was over.
So. I don't know. So you think they're just like, well, let's just fucking cut our losses at this point. You don't think it's worth sitting on for another year? Or no? It's just
fucking no. Fucking you're gonna make the new one next year. Fucking it's throwing off your plans, baby.
Do you think it affects a movie like Halloween Ends when the second one went straight to streaming?
They're probably seeing the fucking return numbers like, oh, these fucking they're going to the movies. Fucking whatever. Let's throw it in there.
But Peacock, I get it. That's the parent company and all that stuff. But what a weird one to get an exclusive like that. It just seems nobody has fucking Peacock, right? At least not premium, or you'd have to pay to see how. So I don't know. Does it show a lack of faith in the product? You think that they're willing to make that the sacrificial lamb to get people to maybe subscribe to their shitty service?
They're doing what they all do. They're hoping that you subscribe and then forget you have it, and then it's just another bill that you fucking pay every month. They're relying on the boomers that don't fucking even know how to go on and cancel a fucking shit.
And you don't realize how right you are, man, because I deal with those shitty little disputes all day long with what I do during the day. And yeah, it's a lot of shit like that, and it's a lot of boomer types. And they'll be like, "Oh, I canceled it." I'm like, "Did you, sir? Did you really cancel it?" They'll be like, "Well, I never agreed to it." I'm like, "Yeah, there's a way to cancel it." Like, I mean, I know you're old, but I know in your lifetime, you've seen small print. That's not like a new thing. They've had small print, even on TV ads. Like, you're not that old. Like, if you're old enough to be alive, you were around in the 60s and the 70s when they had pharmaceutical commercials on TV, and they had that guy that talks real fast at the end, some results may vary, but you may cause death, may cause diarrhea. And they flash that fucking shit really small. And a lot of people will get taken that way too off TV, because that's a boomer thing too. They'll jump into agreements on TV ads, and they won't even go online. And it flashes for a second, like, hey, a recurring charge, you must cancel, you'll continue to be billed unless you cancel however you got to be canceled, right? And they act like, I don't know how to cancel. I've tried over and over and over again. They'll like send fucking blind emails that'll go nowhere. I'm like, guys, if you're smart enough to have an iPhone and you're smart enough to have a Fire Stick or you're smart enough to have an Amazon account where they get subscriptions through, dude, go into your fucking settings. You know how many times I've had to just...
What if they were never smart and that's why they never knew how to stop junk mail from coming to their house? It's just like fucking... we were raised by a generation of fucking idiots. Very Chad.
Well, so, I mean, if I wanted to never get anything done, I would take it upon myself to call every person. I could take out my work phone. I could call someone that is in association with us, and I could be like, hey, can I please speak to this person? Would you like me to teach you how to cancel this app? Or would you think you think you're reaching the merchant, you're trying to fucking cancel, but it's falling on deaf ears. They've made it easy for us now. Like, a lot of old people will try and dispute things like elderly dating sites, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
our time PM, and it's like, you're older trying to find a mate, and they'll be like, oh, I never agreed to sign up for a whole year. I'm like, okay, sir, you got your iPhone on you? Let me show you how to go into your apps and your subscriptions, and you can do this yourself in 2 fucking seconds. But
that would fucking drive me crazy having to teach old people how to do.
It's not part of my job description, so I don't have to do it, and I would never get anything done because it's fucking all the time. So, I just the thing is the way it works with what I do. I can't call someone a liar, even though I know 99% of those types of cases that come my way, they're lying. They're not, they didn't really can't. Yes, whatever. But I can't, I'm not the police and I can't do it. So I process their case and I do whatever I have to do. But I know for a fact, the way it works is whoever it is, Amazon, Peacock, Netflix, they will respond. And then when they respond, they'll give me what the original person didn't give me. They'll give me a copy of their terms and conditions or something. And they'll show me how they agreed to it when they signed up. And then I can go, hey, sorry, your case is gone. So eventually I'll catch them in a lie. I don't have to call them. But anyway.
That was a great way to fucking shoot the shit while we had no news to talk about.
I think the Halloween thing is interesting. Is that coming out? It's coming out in October, right? Or is it coming out this month?
Fucking, I have no clue. Fucking, we got to see it though. It's an event.
There's to do. You know what though? I'm open for it. It's like whatever. I'll hold off on my free trial for Peacock for when that comes out, because that's what a lot of people do. But you're right, they bank on people forgetting about it. But the people that are smart, eventually when they start seeing the numbers change, like they know, like it's like when you go into a Walmart, they realize people are going to shoplift. They have a business has an appetite for loss, like a dollar amount every year that they factor into their budget that they know they can afford to get shit stolen and lifted, because it's going to happen. So these companies like Netflix or whoever, they have an appetite for loss too. They know that, well, so many of our customer base are boomers and they're going to forget about it. And by the time they realize we build them every month, they know that once it's so old, they can't dispute it anymore. So, they're going to get so much money. But once they start seeing the tides turn and a bigger percentage of people are that audience that is smart and they're legit getting a trial for a big movie and canceling it. So like, I think you'll see that in the new generation, like once the current generation dies. And then when we're at the new gen, you'll have less and less of those boomer types that don't know how shit works, and they'll have to come up with a new model.
Fucking coronavirus will not be a problem by then, hopefully.
Yeah, but they'll have to come up with a new model, because that totally is the model. Anyway. We'll watch it. We'll have to do some kind of big event for it. We'll have to do a commentary. We can do a Enema. We can do everything in the world for it. I'm kind of glad it's streaming, because I mean, I would see it if it was in the theaters, but only, that is. But I didn't like the first one for enough to spend any money. So
the original, the fucking third movie called Halloween, the original,
the third original. What else? There's got to be other shit. There's got to be other shit.
Who fucking cares? Let's move on to what we've been watching.
All right,
and that's the best segment anyway.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Besides the movie talk, of course, the movie we came here for.
Can't help it, man. We live in a new world where there's no news, and all the news is shit news. It's not news. It's all fake news. It's all uninteresting news. But yeah, so what have you been watching? We'll start off with you while I get my shit pulled up.
I have been watching nothing but Frasier. Fucking, I'm on season 8. I am digging the Frasier train. It's big cum, fucking personified, basically. Fucking, I sat down and just the idea of I just want to melt into a pool of my own cum and fucking watch Frasier. But fucking, I've been watching stuff for the podcast, and there's a couple things I want to bring up because they fucking, I rewatched the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Because we did it for the Mac and Zach Patreon episode, and that movie. It's a good movie. I want to know what you think of it. Fucking, have you ever watched it?
No, I haven't watched it.
What a fucking lame motherfucker! It's literally like a fucking. It's kind of a retelling and a remake of fucking Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It feels a lot like a fucking updated version. It holds up for me.
Yeah,
very Chad.
Just that classic road movie. Point A to point B. Meet a whole bunch of interesting people along the way.
And then on fucking on the movie Graveyard, me and my boy the goat, we did fucking 2 Days in the Valley. You ever heard of this movie?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it though. I've just heard the name. It might have been even from you guys. I don't know.
Fucking Charlize Theron. Fucking we got Jeff Daniels. Fucking Danny Aiello. Fucking all-star cast. It's Big Chad. Big fucking Eric Stoltz is in there. Big
Nice.
Chad shit. And it's kind of fucking like, it came out like a year or two after Pulp Fiction, and it got stigmatized as being the movie that rips off Pulp Fiction. But it's still good. It's still good. And you should check it out. Fucking, it is on streaming, HBO. You should check it out. And it's the first Charlize Theron movie, and she very Stacy in it. Very Stacy.
Have you ever watched?
Apparently watching that, she was fucking mortified because she realized, like, fucking, I don't like my cheeks. They puff out too much, and she got plastic surgery. Fucking, that's
Really?
one of those, that had to have been kind of one of those fucking things that was just like fucking, what's that called? Fucking
Body dysmorphia.
Body dysmorphia, and she fucking
disorder.
We're gonna get into that with our movie, with fucking all that shit. We'll talk about that later.
I think, yeah, the BDD or whatever is what they call it.
Exactly.
So, have you ever seen Pump Friction?
Fucking, that sounds amazing.
I don't even know if that really exists. That was part of a Norm Macdonald skit, though.
Exactly.
Which R.I.P. to Norm Macdonald. Which I want to. I'm not going to talk about in the show because I do. I want to do. I think it's officially time. Where, side note, I'm going to do a Deep Ends. You know, I almost would have asked you if you wanted to join me for a quick one today, but maybe if you want to do one tomorrow. There's a whole lot of shit I feel like I need to talk about. And I was going to talk about that guy too, because Norm Macdonald's the greatest fucking comedian, in my opinion. R.I.P.
Fucking Chad. He was kind of a dick in that movie they made about him where fucking our boy played him, fucking Batman himself. Fucking that was not cool. Like, the way he fucking took their idea and fucking made a franchise out of it, that wasn't cool.
What are you talking about?
Fucking, I'm making a McDonald's joke about that fucking movie that our boy was in. Fucking very Chad.
See, when you say something like Batman, you realize our mind goes to like a million different actors who played Batman. It doesn't go to Michael Keaton.
I couldn't think of his name. It ruined the whole thing.
Yeah, he could have been like Mr. Mom. He's Mr. Mom now. Cool. Well, you can keep going down the line, man. Whatever you've watched.
Fucking, I watched Better Off Dead, and we did that for a movie graveyard. Have you ever seen this movie?
No, but I've heard of it, obviously, and I listened to the show you guys did, so it sounds like something I need to finally catch up on.
This movie is fucking a big cum personified. It is top tier comedy. Fucking incredible. Fucking, we need Shout Factory, we need Criterion to make this fucking movie, put it out. And we find out while watching the movie that we're gonna do, being John Malkovich, that fucking there's a scene where fucking the Stacy, she meets up with the wife and fucking our boy John Cusack, and they find a picture of him where he was on the skis. This fucking being John Malkovich takes place in the same universe. It is probably a sequel to Better Off Dead. Big Chad, big cum.
Nice.
Big Chad, big cum.
And you can finish
That's
up.
all I got.
Oh,
That's
really?
all I got. Hell yeah.
So I don't have that much compared to the last couple of episodes because I jumped into TV too. I was out of a TV mood for a while, so whenever I'm not binging a series or something, obviously I'm going to knock out a lot of different titles and movies and stuff. But I've been watching Ozark, and kind of slow going through it. I just finished episode 9 of 10 of season 2, so I got one more of season 2, and then I'll knock out season 3. I'm really taking my time with it. Like, we're just watching an episode, sometimes more than one episode, but try just like an episode a day. So I'll probably be done with that the next week. And then, aren't they filming season 4 now?
I don't even know if they're currently making it. Yeah, fucking there was like a word or some rumors that like fucking they had to cut because of the coronavirus. They had to fucking lay off some show, like fucking Glow was one of those. That show fucking I'm not feeling okay today or whatever that show was. And then fucking people were like, what if they do it to Ozarks? But it was like fucking people were like trying to get clickbaity type of thing. Here's all the shit getting canceled by Netflix, and then they would show a picture of Ozarks. And it's like you click on it and it's not one of the shows. Fucking very low T.
Well, Ozark, not to shit on Glow and stuff like that, but Ozark seemed to be like a golden child of Netflix. Like, that's not the one. Ozark seemed to be another House of Cards like tier of show. So I'm glad though, and I'm actually stoked that season 4 is going to be the last one, because I'm all for it. Let these series run for 3 to 5 seasons, depending on the actual story. That's all you need. So I'm happy that a show like this isn't going to overstay its welcome, because it's really, really good. I like all the characters, and I know they filmed it in Atlanta. Like, everybody films in Georgia. Like, they got the best tax fucking write-offs and credits and shit in the industry, so everybody does. But I will say it looks like the Ozarks. It looks like Southwest Missouri. I mean, that's where I'm from. And, they make mention of all this Missouri stuff that I catch all the time. They've mentioned Branson. They've mentioned Lake of the Ozarks. Obviously, that's where they're at. They mention Cape Girardeau, all these other little towns, these little cities and shit. It's pretty cool. And it was kind of a bummer. I'm like, I know they didn't film this shit in the Ozarks, but it's always a bummer when you read, it's actually in Georgia, but it looks like the Ozarks. Like I
remember when I heard the Ozarks, I was like, what the fuck is an Ozark?
The Ozark Lakes, Ozark Mountains. No, but what's funny though is when in that first season, like in the first or second episode, when they first go to Missouri, and it just shows Jason Bateman get out of the car, and he goes and looks. It's they first arrived, and he's standing over that bluff, just sort of looking at the lake and all the scenery. Mm-hmm. I could swear, I mean, maybe it's not, but I almost was gambling that maybe they did that shot in Missouri, and the rest of it, because the rest of it, it's like all scene work, and it's in the woods. It's like you can get away with that anywhere where you have woods and shit, but like just that panned out shot of him standing on that big ass bluff. I mean, like, when I think bluffs, I don't think Georgia. I think the Ozarks, and I think the Midwest and shit like that. So who knows?
They're fucking wrong, because they were bluffing. It was all filmed in Georgia. Fucking we got you, bitch.
Bluffington. All right. I wonder where Bluffington was. Like, what state? Bluffington, Doug?
Fucking, who knows?
So I don't have that much, so I will go through this pretty swiftly. I don't think I brought up this first couple of movies, but I know I talked about them on another show, so I'm not really going to talk about them. I know I brought it up. I think River was recording with us, so whenever that was. I watched The Girl Next Door. That was an 8 out of 10. Loved it. I sat through Evan Almighty. It was like a 5 out of 10. I watched San Andreas for some reason. Another rock fucking... You know what's funny, though? San Andreas was a 5 out of 10, and if we're grading on a scale, on a rock scale, that's like a fucking 9 for The Rock today. So when I watched this, I was like, oh, well, it's not as bad as Rampage and fucking, what's that other one? Skyscraper. So I'm like, oh, I was like, it's actually pretty good. What do you give it? A 5? Like, for rock, that's fucking good. Anyway, I watched, okay, spoiler alert. I watched the next Cinema Enema, which is my choice, called a movie called Grave of the Fireflies, because you know me, I've been trying to chip away at all these anime titles that are beloved or they've got cult followings, and it's a thing, and it's definitely the next Cinema Enema. I'm stoked for Zach to watch it, and I don't know, it's not going to waste anybody's time to watch this. It's just one of those movies where, like 100%, you could put all your money on the table and wager that like no one's going to hate this movie, right? No one's going to be like, I wasted my time watching this. So it really is something special. And I know I mean, that shouldn't be a spoiler because obviously I'm not going to pick a cinema enema of a movie I fucking hate. We haven't done that yet. Nobody does that. So, and it's great because it's not long. It's like fucking, I don't even think it's 90 minutes, but it is tight. It is perfect in that sense. And it's
tightly circumcised.
It's tight like a sphincter. And I watched, and that's interesting because that's a Ghibli too. And I was wondering like, what the fuck? The reason why I hadn't heard about this one is because I was going off HBOMax because they have that partnership with Ghibli and stuff like that. And that one's not on HBOMax. And I had to do some digging, and that one's a bit of an anomaly. It's a Ghibli movie, but it's based, the movie...
In Red Pilled?
No, it was based in Red Pilled. It was based on a story, a Japanese short story. And to get the rights for it, they worked out a deal with the publishers, whoever owned the rights to the book. They worked out a deal that they could make the movie, it went to theaters and stuff like that, but the publishers of the book, they own the publishing rights to the movie. So that's why it's not on HBO. And it's actually, I couldn't find it on any streaming service. The only place I could find it was Vudu, I think. And I bought it on Vudu or rented it, one or the other. And so you might have to go that route, pay $2 to watch it or download it, whatever you fucking do. But it's really something though. And it's, okay, I'm not going to say any more about it. But I watched another Ghibli movie, The Tale of Princess Kaguya. That was really good too. Once again, Ghibli's got this fucking thing where they're really consistent, man. There's not a single, well, I've maybe watched 1 or 2 Ghibli movies that have been like a 7. But besides that, I've watched probably fucking 20 of those fucking movies now. And they're all at least an 8. Like they're very, very consistently great. If not higher.
They're innate.
Yeah,
These things are innate pieces of shit.
Yeah, so I finally, a couple of classics that I had never watched. I finally watched Don't Look Now. Now, this is a movie that I held off watching it because it's like a Usual Suspects, because I knew the twist. I've known the twist for so fucking long that I'm like, I don't really want to watch it. You know that feeling? It's like, I kind of know. And it didn't ruin it for me that I knew the twist. It didn't really, because even though I kind of knew the twist, all I knew, spoiler alert, all I knew is the fucking dwarf shit. But it doesn't really prepare you for the movie because the dwarf doesn't make fucking sense. It makes no fucking, it does. I get it. The dwarf was like the killer that was going around the town, also killing people at the same time.
What did you think of the movie though? I always thought it was kind of like a fucking, a weird, it's kind of like Roman Polanski fucking, made another movie while he was making fucking Rosemary's Baby and just went under a fake name or something.
Yeah, I liked it. It was also, obviously I've heard about the sex scene. That's pretty famous. People always talk about that Donald Sutherland sex
fucking
scene.
Amazing. And that great fucking score under that. Amazing.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I thought it was good, man.
They used that score in a sex scene in the fucking, that show Euphoria on the HBO. Fucking the creator or whatever must be a big fan.
I gave it a 7 out of 10. I liked it quite a bit. And just that fucking ending, though. Let me tell you, even though it was one of those things where like, okay, well, I know a dwarf is going to fucking kill him. When's this dwarf going to show up? I still wasn't prepared for it. Even when he was cornering the little girl in red, his daughter or whatever, into that like back alley and shit like that. And she's just standing like in the corner, like creepy, like the Blair Witch or something. And she just turns around and it's like, what the fuck is this?
And that fucking, whenever he starts dying and the flashbacks happen, it recalls the scenes and it replays the fucking sex scenes song. It's dank. Fucking, I big cum.
Now, to me, the movie was good because the dwarf thing wasn't really a twist. It was just like a what the fuck moment. Mm-hmm. Because I get it. They planted the fact that there's a killer running around town. The only way they can make that work is if they also made it a dwarf, so it could also play with them and we could think it's the daughter. So they're just like, hey, well, let's make it a fucking old woman looking dwarf. Like, that's just a fuck moment. But the whole thing about the clairvoyancy and the psychic stuff and him finding out that he was just seeing premonitions of his death, that was cool. And the way it all wrapped up and, like the whole, because his wife left. He's like, oh, she went home. She went to go visit her son in England because he apparently got hurt. But the whole movie is like, but I saw her. She was on the boat with those 2 fucking twins. Like, she's around here. And he was just seeing like a vision. I thought all that was pretty brilliant and I really liked it. So I'd say it's worth a buy. But I think it's hard to find now. I think they put it on Criterion, and now that one's just it's gone. Like you can't. I think it goes for quite a bit, and you can't find it online, which is too bad. But who knows? That'll probably get a 4K release because Body Snatchers is getting a 4K release. All kinds of movies.
Criterion, don't make me cry. Tyrion put out this movie again.
Another. I don't know if you want to call it a classic, but it's definitely got a weird cult following. I watched Sidekicks. After hearing Riverman talk about Sidekicks our whole life. One of the quotes that Riverman has said ever since middle school is, "I would kick Chuck Norris's ass," like that whole fucking thing. That Joe Piscopo. That's all I've ever heard my whole life is him doing that Joe Piscopo thing. And I finally watched it, and it's not good.
It's fucking amazing.
It's a 5 out of 10. And
that movie taught me so much about life. Fucking, that was one I watched when I was a kid. That scene where he's hanging out with like basically the Mr. Miyagi character, fucking the guy basically showing him discipline, and they're doing that training montage, and he's like riding on his bike by standing on it. Fucking, I had to try that fucking because I watched that. He was standing on the seat. Fucking just steering, very Chad. That movie, it changed my life. Fucking, I would die for the fucking Sidekicks.
What a total waste of Winnie Cooper. Isn't it funny?
I forgot she was up there.
Winnie Cooper was on a very popular show at the time. She's obviously a very familiar face to put her in the movie because this came out like in the at least third season of Wonder Years because she wasn't super young or anything like that. But even then, this just shows you sexism and just like the fucking tropes of screenwriting. She was reduced to the fucking girl that he was crushing on, and it's like she was such a fucking throwaway character. So stupid.
She was Big Stacy. That got her the whole thing she needed. Big Chad, Big Stacy, Big Chad shit. Fucking that got her real shit. Fucking she owes everything to that show. Fucking she's on the Hallmark Channel now. I actually think fucking she's not even bad. Like, why? Yeah, why is she on Hallmark Channel movies and stuff?
Well, I think it's because she quit acting and then she came back. She quit acting to go to college and she was like a math genius, right? So that was her profession.
Stacy.
Yeah, she's like a math genius and she became known for that. She got like her PhD and fucking shit like that, and then she wrote a bunch of books. So,
like, imagine trying to have sex with Winnie Cooper and like you're just thinking she's
like,
up
you lasted 2.3.7 repeating minutes.
She's like, fucking, yeah, I can tell how big your cock is from back here, fucking,
yeah.
And like she's gonna tell all of her friends and all that shit.
It's like your sperm hit the fucking tip of my ovaries, and from the point it left your fucking dick shaft, it took -0.2. Yeah, she seems nice, but anyway, I wonder if that's why Jonathan Brandis killed himself. Maybe she let him have a piece. Maybe she let him find out in real life, and then she hit it and quit it, and he couldn't take it anymore. So he fucking grabbed that belt, and he found his father's fucking, Well,
he was gonna jack off thinking about Winnie Cooper, and he just fucking he did a big he fucked up. He didn't he didn't fucking stop it before it went too far.
I mean, the billing really equally. Jonathan Brandis was on Sequest at the time, right? She was on Wonder Years. He was on Sequest, which that's a show that time forgot. And that was a fucking network TV show. And that had Roy Scheider in it too. But does anybody talk about Sequest?
Fucking no.
The only person that talked about, nobody even references Sequest. That fucking show got a Super Nintendo video game, which is really odd. But so did Home Improvement, which is even odder. But
and he went on to host the fucking like American Idol or something.
Who?
That was a dumb joke. Just move on.
Jonathan Brandis was dead before American Idol.
Brian Seacrest.
Seacrest. So
stupid.
Pop culture sort of forgot about Sequest, and the only pop culture reference I can think of that's ever happened was on The Simpsons, because I remember them being at the Grandpa Simpson's old folks home, and the guy that's always there too with the big beard, the freezer geezer, he had made a mention that he had turned down some kind of advancement or plans because of a TV show. He's like, I can't. He's like, what do you say? That dog from Frasier's riding that doll from Sequest tonight. Like, it's some fucking stupid throwaway line. And I'm like, oh, somebody acknowledged Sequest and Frasier. Funny enough.
Fucking amazing. The Sequest is a winner in the eyes of everybody because they put on the same pedestal.
I have to give them props though with Jonathan Brandis, whoever worked with the continuity department, giving him the mole in It. Brilliant. Nobody ever does that shit. Nobody does those simple little things anymore. Like, well, we could get that fucker to get it removed or put makeup over it. No, that'd be too much. We can either...
Yeah, just make him get it fucking removed. That'd be the total Chad move.
Like, go under the knife.
Making you get it.
But, like... Yeah, and it's also weird too. It's like, well, we can either put makeup over this, or we could put a fake mole on Jonathan Brandis. Like whichever works.
Maybe it's skin cancer. You got it later in life.
It's like, well, if I was that guy, and I forget what his name is. I know it's the guy that was on Swiss Family Robinson or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I would have been like, well, being that he's the fucking little kid, the little shit. He can do it. I'm not touching shit. You go. How's my mole? You go off me.
Exactly. Fucking put a cigarette out on his face.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He comes back and they put a cigarette out in his face right here. Like, it's not in the right spot. All right. So I watched, I watched the Ghibli movie only yesterday, which a lot of people really liked. And this is one I only gave a 6. This is the lowest I've ever given any Ghibli movie. Not that it wasn't like good in execution. It just wasn't for me. This one was aimed at a different audience. So I watched that shitty Mortal Kombat Legends Battle of the Realms. 5 out of 10.
Ghibli did that. Hell yeah.
Ghibli did that one. Dude, I don't know what these guys did because the first one was really fun and this one was just a shit show. And I would honestly I almost tweeted them. I would love to get these guys on a podcast just so I can ask them, like, hey, please tell me there was other motives behind this, because you guys are the same people that wrote and directed the first one. They had to have told you, hey, you guys are not getting clearance to do another one, so throw everything at the wall with this one. Or, something. Or did the fucking Warner Brothers studio head fuck your wife or something? Like, you guys couldn't have purposely done this bad a job is what I'm saying. There's got to be more to it. Something went wrong on the back end, but it's not very good. And I told Zach about this too. This will someday be a cinema enema. This might be my next choice after Grave of the Fireflies, After Hours. I watched After Hours, the Scorsese flick. Super fun. Really good, fun, feel-good movie. That's an 8 out of 10, man. Really, really good. I guess that's kind of a spoiler if I want it to be a cinema enema later, but I watched Corpse Bride finally, 7 out of 10. I watched Porky's, 6 out of 10.
Corpse Bride is actually the best movie about pedophilia.
You mean not pedophilia? You mean
fucking
necrophilia?
See, I'm so bad. I'm so fucking bad. Fucking words. Why do we let the words define us? We all know what I meant.
I almost like stoop down to Zach's level. I wanted to send a picture. I found this picture online of Michael Jordan with Michael Jackson and Macaulay Culkin in between both of them, kind of like parents, and like it's just this group photo, very 90s. And I almost sent it to our group, just basically saying, Zach, is this the hottest threesome ever? But it's a really fucking weird picture. It's really odd. Anyway, Porky's, very dated humor. Some people are kind of harsh on this movie. I'm not. I gave it a 6 out of 10. A lot of people, I was looking at the reviews for this, and they're not that favorable, and I was reading some of them after. And people are really judging this movie from 2021 standards. It's really weird. Yeah, the reviews, it's like, guys, like if you fucking check your brain for a second and grade this for what it is, sort of like a granddaddy of like the sex comedy, consider the year it came out. No, but maybe it seems cliche now. A lot of this stuff seems old hat now, but this is probably the first movie to do this, like these types of jokes and shit like that. So it's one of those flicks where you have to like go into it with a little bit of perspective, and you'll like it a lot more and you'll appreciate it a lot more. So, like I said, it's not like amazing, but it's a 6 out of 10, and I definitely respect it. What Women Want.
Amazing.
Did you ever see that?
Fucking, it sounds like an amazing film.
Was that Stephanie? It's a Stephanie Meyer movie. It's a chick flick. It's a romantic comedy. It's Mel Gibson and Helen Hunt. I didn't hate it.
I don't think Stephanie Meyer, didn't she do Twilight or something?
Oh shit, not Stephanie Meyer. It's
an older one, yeah.
I gotta fix this. No, it's What Women Want. She also directed. She directs all those fucking like chick flicks. Nancy Myers.
Oh, director. I thought you meant wrote.
No,
okay.
Nancy Myers. And she does. These are the types of movies she does. It was a 6 out of 10. As far as romantic comedies go, it's not always my genre, but I enjoyed it. I like Mel Gibson. It's the only time he's ever branched out and done a movie like that. And the lady said the same thing. Like, I've never seen him in a movie like this where it's really silly. It's really kind of stupid, silly. It's a romantic. I'm like, I think it's the only time he's ever done this. I think right after this, he did fucking Payback and shit. He went back to doing like revenge flicks, and then he got ostracized or whatever, cast away from fucking for making fun of Jewish people or something. Then it was all downhill.
He went a really bad shit there for a second. Yeah, fucking.
Hold on.
On a phone call or something. Yeah.
Oh yeah, when his girlfriend Oksana, she in total entrapment, but yeah, he went nuts, man. And she baited him into the perfect fucking tapped phone call and ruined him. He said the N-word, and he threatened to put her in the rose garden and murder her. It's a pretty entertaining phone call. It's very cringe. Like, it's one of those things where, God, if that was you, you'd be fucking humiliated. But since it's not, it's hilarious.
Exactly.
I like hearing the story about when that all came to the surface. He was actually on set of that Jodie Foster movie, The Beaver. You ever see that?
I haven't.
Have you heard of it?
Fucking Leave It to Beaver.
No, it's called The Beaver. I think it came out probably like 2011, 12, something like that. I think it came out in 2011 because I watched it in Russia, and I was in Russia in 2011, and I'd watched it online, so I think it was brand new at the time.
Is it basically just a homemade movie directed with her video camera just showing her clit the whole time?
And you know she has a big fucking lesbian beaver.
Hell yeah.
I mean, but no, it's about this guy that he kind of has a mental break. Just one. Yeah, I know.
That's
it's
ironic.
Funny. Yeah. No, I don't remember what happens. He's got like a pretty well-to-do job, a lot of pressure, and I don't remember what happens. I don't know if he gets fired. Maybe let's just say he gets fired. He ends up outside of his job, down and out. He had a bad fucking day. It's like a falling down type. It's not like falling down, but it's one of those I'm over the edge. And in the trash can, he just randomly finds, I think, an old fucking beaver hand puppet. And he just fucking has a psychotic break, and he takes the puppet and he begins talking as the puppet.
I thought he was gonna start fucking it.
He has a psychotic break, but not before he's really horny and he has to fuck this puppet. Then he goes and kills a whole bunch of people.
He gets cum brain and just fucking wipes his jizz all over the fucking. It makes a big fucking crusty. Fucking like he throws this thing at the end and it's basically just a fucking like it could cut somebody. It's so fucking stiff.
And so basically he just starts like dissociating from his own personality and talking through this fucking thing. And it has like a British accent and it's just Mel Gibson talking or whatever. And so he's like, so I don't really know what kind of movie it is. It's like this weird little, like, it's a very small movie, very low budget, and cool. It's kind of a drama. It actually does on paper. It seems interesting. Like, what the fuck is this? And I watched it and I remember not loving it, just kind of being like, but I kind of want to watch it again now that I'm talking about it. But anyway, directed by Jodie Foster, who's always been one of his best friends. And she said, oh yeah, the day that came out, we were filming that movie. And I think it was the first day, I think she said it was the first day of principal photography. So everybody on set's like, what the fuck? Everybody's like on their phones and everybody's got this video, everybody's listening to it. And then Mel Gibson, she's like, I had to go into his his room, his trailer, and talk him off the ledge. Like, hey man, we got a movie to do. Like, he's got to go out. Can you imagine going out there to all these peers that you're working with on this movie first day? Like, yes, that was me. He's got to look at everybody on staff that's black. I know I said that. And I know I threatened to do this. And I tried to kill her. Because you've listened to that audio, right?
I have. It's been a while. Yeah.
It's pretty cringe, man. So you can imagine when she was relaying this story about him on set, and that when that happened, I could feel it. I'm like, man, I feel embarrassed for him, and this is like in the past tense, and that's not me. But anyway, funny stuff. That's side road we went down for the beaver.
They should someday make a biopic about the making of that movie and that happening while that was going on. That would be great.
It'd be interesting. Yeah, no, the irony is funny because all that shit, you're making this movie where you're having a mental break, and clearly, like everybody you're working with on set clearly thinks you're going method or something. Like, hey man, chill. It's just a movie about a fucking beaver. You don't have to kill your fucking 20-year-old girlfriend. Anyway, I watched The Perfect Weapon. That's a shit movie. It's not good. Did you ever watch The Perfect Weapon?
I haven't.
So you're not an action guy. So you're really going to hate it. I'm an action guy and I don't like it. And it stars Jeff Speakman. And in the early 90s, they were trying to make him a thing. And this was his big shot. And it's a movie that's like a Van Damme type movie where it's got a budget. It very much fits the ilk of like your Lionhearts and all those types of movies that were really popular and all over the place in like 1991. And everything about this guy, and Jeff Speakman has showed up in other movies before, but in like bit parts, right? Like, oh, he was in this movie with Van Damme, or he played that henchman number 2. And I watch it, and I'm thinking, like, what did he have on whoever produced this movie? Like, it's almost like he saw somebody murder somebody and he had it over their head, because there's something about this guy. Yeah, he's a martial artist and he's talented, I guess, like that, but he's not a leading man. He looks like perpetually grunt number 3. You know what I mean? He's got a very bland look. Like, you look like someone's henchman in a movie. He doesn't look, there's nothing about this guy that seems like an action hero. He's got like a fucking dad haircut. He just looks, he's lame. And the movie is so fucking 1991. It opens up with what's that clip I sent you guys in the chat? What was the song? It was I got the power. The movie opens up with him doing, like, I swear it feels like a 10-minute long montage of him in his apartment. He's got like an oiled chest and he's doing like Tai Chi in his apartment bedroom, and he's just doing like all this like shit while he's like sweating.
I was thinking he was doing a 10-minute long line of coke and the song I Got the Power was playing. Yeah. I was like, this sounds awesome.
and they're playing I Got the Power, and it's so weird. I'm like, what is this? And then at the end of the movie, once the day is saved or whatever, it ends with like a freeze frame. I got the power. And it comes back. I'm like, this is so fucking cringe.
Amazing.
Anyway, they probably thought they were so fucking original and hip. Like, we're going to be the first person to jump on this I Got the Power song. It's not going to be weird and cliche in 30 years. Anyway, so The Perfect Weapon, it sucks. I gave it a 4 out of 10. I watched Malignant. 5 out of 10. That's all the stuff that I've read about the movie since and before is pretty accurate. All the stuff that's critical. So some people seem to love this movie. It just kind of depends on where you're dwelling, like the group you're in, because some types of groups seem to jerk it off, like, oh God, it's old school. It's clearly a homage to Henenlotter. I'm like, is it really a homage to Henenlotter, or he just take an idea? I mean, I don't know.
I think it seems like he was homage. Like,
it's a few different things, right?
But like, yeah. By the time it ended, I was like, it was still a positive experience, so I could be like, oh, I could give it a 6. But the reason I gave it a 5 too, and I'm in the middle with it, is because like the first, like, it seems really conveyor belt and soulless. Like fucking the house that she lives in doesn't feel lived in. It feels like a set. And I wonder if it's something that's happening because of Covey. Fucking, it's just, yeah.
It was see, I've already forgotten the movie, but it was just a mess. I mean, I don't, maybe they were just trying to like steer you off the path so that third act or whatever was extra weird and shocked you more. But the thing is it was like what, multiple movies in one. It was Basket Case. It was like Raising Cain. It was The Dark Half. It was like an amalgamation of these movies I've seen before, right? It obviously didn't go the full. It starts off kind of like the Henenlotter shit, where it's like, oh, he's killing off the people that separated him or whatever. But it obviously doesn't go there because it's not too, they're still together. But I saw, if you've seen enough movies like you have or whatever, and me, I had seen all these movies that I think they just blended together. I'm like, and I was telling the lady, I'm like, I'll tell you right now, because she doesn't mind if I do that. Some people might find it annoying, especially if I get it right, and they're like, you fucker. But she likes it. And I told her, I said, no, I know it seems like that. She's like, oh, paranormal this. I'm like, no, they're trying to play with certain people. Like, oh, it's not paranormal. And I'm telling you, it's the evil twin story. But, and then in a few minutes later, I'm like, no. And I said, the first time they showed, what's the name of the fucking, I don't remember, Gabriel. The first time they showed Gabriel, I'm like, you notice? It looks like Gabriel's walking backwards. Do you notice that? And yeah, he's got long hair. It looks like a woman, but it's named Gabriel. I said, watch. Because the first scene, I said, look, man, they were cutting it off the head. And then the first time we see her, she hits her head. She has those headaches. I'm like, and she's bleeding. I'm like, come on, man. And then you see Gabriel in like the fucking third scene. It's clearly someone walking backwards and it looks like her. I'm like, Gabriel is still fucking there. So I saw it coming a million miles away. And then.
Did you already know that it was like a basket case? Because I didn't hear that at all going into it.
No, I didn't hear anything about it. I went into it blind. But to me, it's not that much like basket case. It's more like other things, to be honest. They just take.
It's literally just basket case fucking made. To me, fucking, she's literally going through killing all the people, and she's seeing it through visions instead of actually being there. Yeah.
So and then and that's something too. That whole the killer is me thing. Like we haven't seen that done a million times. But I will say this: even though I saw the outcome and how it was all going to pan out, like fucking in the first 10 minutes, the execution was still cool. Like with the reveal, I was just waiting for it. But how they did, I wasn't expecting for it to go full John Wick. Like what the fuck just happened? So it was entertaining, but I don't think I can forgive it for being the identity clusterfuck it was. So I think it was just I was on the fence. I almost gave it a 6. I was kind of teetering. And I'm like, nah, I think it's a 5.
I would literally say this is like a greatest hits of Hen and Water and these other movies. If it just didn't seem so soulless, fucking, I could have gave it like a fucking 8 or something. If it felt more like these people actually knew each other and were interacting with each other.
Like I said, I think I might be missing another movie, but I literally think it's Basket Case mixed with like Raising Cain, mixed with Dark Half. I mean, it's just, there's probably other shit in there I could throw in there too. But anyway, what else? Kate. I watched that movie Kate with your girl, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. It's that Netflix movie that's new.
Fuck, hell yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Big Stacy, exactly.
You know the movie though?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I haven't watched it yet.
It's got Woody Harrelson, and it's... I didn't know any better. I didn't know what the fuck Kate was, but I thought it was, I'm like, is this like some kind of fucking like manga that they're westernizing and making a remake? It's not, it's an original story, but it feels like it feels like a live action manga because it takes place in Tokyo and she's like this assassin. It's over the top, really bloody and shit. So, but it's not, that's the kind of vibe you're getting yourself in for. And the cast is all Asian except for her and Woody Harrelson. And yeah, it was a 6 out of 10. It was fun. Mindless action, whatever, and she's cool. She's a tough chick that fucking kills a lot of people and takes a lot of fucking damage throughout the movie. So
Big Stacy.
Yeah. I watched this might be the last one. Nope, that's it. And I watched the movie we were about to talk about. So
fuck yes. Let's do it. I am ready. I gotta take a break. I'm gonna fucking wash my glasses so I can read my notes better. Fucking and get a drink.
All right.
Let's do it.
We're gonna take a brief break and then we will be right back to talk about Being John Malkovich.
7.5, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome to the 7.5 floor of the Merton Plummer Building.
My name is Craig Schwartz, and I have an interview with Dr. Lester.
Please have a seat, Mr. Juarez.
My name is Schwartz.
My name is Schwartz.
Which of these 2 letters comes first, this one or this one?
The symbol on the left is not a letter, sir.
Damn, you're good.
Do you know that I don't even know your name or where you work?
And 50 other lines to get into a girl's pants.
So, honey, you thought any more about us having a baby?
I think that maybe we should just wait and see if this job thing pays off. There's a tiny door in my office, Maxine, and it takes you inside John Malkovich.
There's no such thing as a hole into somebody's brain.
Yes, there is. You see the world through John Malkovich's eyes, and then after about 15 minutes...
That's not me. I didn't say that.
You're spit out into a ditch on the side of the New Jersey Turnpike.
It was amazing.
Where the hell are we?
where Malkovich is subconscious. Do you think that it's kind of weird that John Malkovich has a portal? I mean, do you think that it might have some sort of significance?
What is going on? Huh?
I discovered that portal.
It's my head!
John Cusack, Cameron Diaz, Catherine Keener, and John Malkovich.
Malkovich! Malkovich!
Being John Malkovich.
Hey, Malkovich, think fast!
And we're back to talk about the topic of the hour. Zach, lead us in. Tell us what we're doing, why you chose it, and obviously you're going to have to kind of run us through. You're going to spearhead this. I watched it for the first time late last night, so it's pretty fresh. But
my pick was Being John Malkovich from 1999. Fucking basically it's a comedy drama fantasy movie. It's directed by Spike Jonze. Fucking the guy himself, and written by Charley Kaufman, who is basically I'm trying to Charley Kaufman pill Aaron. We're gonna see if he enjoys the Charley Kaufman or not, because this is kind of his most easily digestible movie, I'd say. Like, if you think this one's too artsy fartsy and like fucking I'm confused, like this is not the guy for you, because it gets fucking weirder from here. And basically, the plot, as on IMDb, is a puppeteer discovers a portal that leads literally into the head of movie star John Malkovich. Which sounds fucking weird, and that's one thing I always loved about this movie, is it's basically like a child's storybook, but it's an adult movie. But like all the little elements, it's all metaphorical and shit. And basically, so watching it this time, I knew all the stuff I was looking for, and I was ready. I was gonna take notes. I'm like, I'm gonna take a note every time I see these, themes that I know, and we're gonna make, just a couple notes. And I ended up making a note for every single scene in the movie, because they're fucking laying it all out there subtly, and some of these, maybe even things I interpret from it might not even be the intention, but like we can go through it step by step if you want to, baby.
Yeah, I think we should. Really quick, trivia wise, did Charley Kaufman write this sort of with a John Doe as their John Malkovich, and they just kind of wrote it around whichever actor said yes?
I don't know. From what,
because it could have been any actor, right? It could have been whoever said yes.
From what I remember hearing is that he picked John Malkovich, and he picked him specifically because he is a character actor that most people probably wouldn't recognize, but you probably seen something he's in, and it's supposed to kind of be, because in a way this character is kind of it's like a way to project, because we've all felt this way about somebody at work or something like that. But we'll get into it. The opening scene I put the opening scene where he's puppeteering. Did you notice? Actually, I think I wrote this not realizing it, but I was like, did they fucking like use stop motion animation or something to make it look? For some reason, I was thinking this looks a little too like
too good,
smooth.
too fluid.
Yeah, for a puppet, this almost looks like Harryhausen like fucking type of animation, but it might have just been the way he's seeing it through his mind, or maybe like he's just that good. It's establishing that he really is fucking basically our boy John Cusack. He plays the main character, and he's basically a struggling artist type, and he's a puppeteer. And so he literally like thinks about it. He goes to like where he's like the opening thing is just like he's doing this crazy whimsical fucking like interpretive dance with basically it's a marionette that looks just like him, and he's fucking dancing around, and it's like, wow, this guy fucking, if he really makes it look like that, like he's fucking really talented. And I think it's trying to lay out that this is a guy who is talented at what he does, and like, but what he's good at is like something that just isn't of any interest anymore, which would be weird to like imagine what like Ray Harryhausen, he would have been thinking that like whenever fucking I got so good at fucking doing this, and now like they don't even do it the same way. It's like I got so good and now I'm rendered useless, and things like that. And fucking So we're introduced to him, and it's like fucking he's struggling, baby. He's like he doesn't got a job, and all this stuff. He's trying to find a job. Where there's a scene that I really like, and it defines his character a lot. Is I put that scene where he's hanging out with the monkey. And because he's got a pet monkey, and the weird, oddball kind of home life. We're introduced to his wife, his girlfriend, and they're watching the news about another puppeteer who did some publicity stunt basically in order to get written about by the media. And he gets annoyed, and he's like, he has that conversation with the monkey. He basically says, like, fucking, you know what? Consciousness is overrated. It allows you to suffer. And, like, he goes on this kind of monologue where he's like, you know, all I ask in return for suffering, like, because we're here so long and we do so much suffering trying to make other people happy. All I ask is that I can enjoy my work. And they won't allow it. Almost like fucking these people that they find no interest in this unless it's like something they can write about. Because it was a publicity stunt. Like he made a marionette that looked like some lady that was part of their town and stuff. And it was like, oh, it's a really cute thing for the community that he's bringing up the story of a founding. It was something. It blows by, and I wasn't quite sure what it was, but I picked up on it. What'd you think about that, baby?
Well, you have to understand this is my first watch, and you watched it more than once. So this is the kind of movie where when I'm in the first scene, I have no idea where this movie's going. Like I can't really begin to put any pieces together because I've been given one piece of something that's going to go. You can't really predict it. Now, I had heard about this movie. I remember when the movie came out, and I remember it had won some awards and shit like that. I remember them talking about like the MTV Movie Awards and shit like that. This might be the movie that's responsible for me knowing John Malkovich by name, because being John Malkovich, whatever. Because now it's like, yeah, he's a character actor, but you know the guy's been nominated for 2 Oscars at least. You know what I mean? He's pretty renowned, and I like the jokes they make about it. Like, who's that guy? You're that guy. The guy with the like, I wasn't me. Yeah, they kind of play on like, who's this guy? But no, I had
the best is the scene where the guy's like, oh no, you were in that movie with the bank heist. He's like, I was never in a movie with the bank heist. And then the guy starts arguing with him, like, no, it was you. You were in the movie. Like,
yeah,
I'm sure you probably know.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So the only thing I knew about this movie was I remember the media stills and the promotional stills of John Cusack like going down the tunnel right into him. They used to show that like in the trailer. And I knew, and I used to see like the POV stuff like in the trailer. So I knew it had something to do with being John Malkovich, quite literally, but I didn't know all this other shit around it. Like I was ready to jump into a movie that was 100% just a day in the life of John Malkovich. I thought that's what it was going to be for all I knew, right? And then I'm seeing John Cusack talking to a fucking monkey. I'm like, okay, whatever.
I put that scene where he's so into his art that he doesn't even really like. There's that scene where he's doing the puppeteering stuff on the street, and he's getting so into it. Yeah, and he's so into his art that he doesn't even notice he's doing a really sexually explicit scene right in front of a kid who's happened to be walking by, and he gets punched out by like one of the grown-ups.
The dad. Yeah,
I don't even think it was a dad. I think it was just somebody else that happened to notice. Yeah.
No, it was the dad because she goes, look, Daddy, a puppet show. He's like, okay, only for a minute you can watch. And they were at the crosswalk or whatever. And then he was looking the other way. And when he turns around, they're like dry humping against the walls or whatever the fuck they were doing. And then, yeah, it was the dad.
Yeah, the scene where he finds out his job. The scene where he finds the job. Basically, yeah, he's looking through trying to find a job that works well with kind of like, yeah, he like he said, he wants to find a job where he at least feels like he's getting some enjoyment. So he's trying to find something that at least has something to do with what he enjoys about his hobby. And so he finds a job in the paper, and basically because it's written like, oh, are you good with your hands? And he's like, I'm good with my hands. I'm a fucking master puppeteer. And so fucking he goes and
it's a filing job.
Exactly. I feel like this scene is supposed to represent that weird imposter syndrome we all feel when we have a new job or a job interview where he's walking through the job and because they're always out of your comfort zone and shit. It always feels like you're completely like pretending in order to get the job. And in the movie, there's like a weird special floor that's in between two other floors and he's got to do some weird timing trick to learn how to get the elevator to stop right at the
with a crowbar,
right
pry the fucking door open.
It's in between like the 8th and the 9th floor. The 7th
it's the 7th. It's 7.5. It's 7.5. Yeah.
And so like yeah.
He goes. I know he goes in there. Like I said, it's the 7.5 floor, and it's really fucking weird. And he goes into like the receptionist room, and you got this fucking weird ass receptionist that's like mishearing everything he's saying. And then he goes and meets his boss, and his boss is weird. Everything's very surreal. Like,
yeah, it's almost like it's making like that because like they're all like bent down. They got to work like this, and he's walking around, and everybody's just kind of doing that. They don't even seem to notice. They got their head like to the side because it's just like high enough to where it's like, yeah, like that. And like, just fucking just enough to be super uncomfortable almost. And it's like fucking, it seemed like a kind of an analogy for like what I'm saying, like fucking going into a job and fucking like, yeah, they set that up. The lady that kept mishearing what he was saying and shit. I wrote down the fact that they keep getting his name wrong and thinking he's being a mumbling kind of a guy when he's speaking completely clearly. I think that was like a way to write in that the character might have like autism or something without having to just say it.
Really?
Yeah, like they were telling us. I think they were like telling us stuff like this through metaphor, like when he says like he was testing him, like, right? And he's like giving him like, oh, fucking, you think you're good at fucking filing things, huh? Well, which letter comes first? And he holds up one that's not even a letter, and then like another letter, and he's like, he's reacting like this is the dumbest thing ever. Fucking, that's not a letter.
Are you saying that? Hold on, are you saying that the boss knew he had autism and he was giving him that lame brain test?
No, I think it was just through metaphor, making us kind of, because remember that the other time he gives him a little test, he's like, oh, sort these out, and like the guy doesn't even notice, but he's like super, like he's really fucking good at it, and it's like he doesn't even notice that. So I think that was kind of a way to kind of clue you in, and like that's why he feels like people are always like not getting what he's saying, because like shit like that goes.
I'm not sure if you're right or not, but it does fit if that's the angle you want to go, because people with autism or Asperger's or whatever, they're really good, with skills like that. Like he could be really good at filing. He's going to be really good at numbers. He might even be really good at puppeteering and shit like that. But he's going to be socially awkward and he's going to be stunted then, which also explains, like you said, all the stuff with the office place, but it also explains, jumping ahead, why he's so awkwardly forward with this one girl he's obsessed with out of nowhere, married and all this shit, the stuff he says, it's really, yeah, man. I mean, I could see someone with like a weird case of autism having zero filter, because he kind of doesn't have much of a filter. He kind of tries to hide his marriage, but not that hard. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah, there's like later on, whatever. We'll get to it. I made a note about it. I wrote the awkwardness that he keeps asking obvious questions, like why are the ceilings so low, but nobody seems to kind of realize it, and they kind of just like fucking as if they're so used to it. They're like, oh, fucking, it's because the prices are so low. They kind of like use it as fucking like they're not just acknowledging the fucking the clear fucking weirdness about the situation.
They keep making that fucking stupid pun of low overhead. Yeah.
But then like we get the scene later where it's like, oh, okay, now they're going to describe why, and they go through this whole thing like, oh, it's actually because there was they go through like this whole thing that makes it sound like, oh, it's a way to honor this girl who I forget it, like the story was so weird, but like the reason I always forget it is because he's like, oh wow, it all makes sense now. And then we meet Maxine, who basically represents like fucking the girl he's the love interest basically, and like the way they shot her, the way she stands out amongst all the other characters, like fucking they're trying to make you notice she stands out too. I noticed that while watching it. And like fucking just the mysteriousness of her, she seems super interesting and stuff. Like he's like, oh wow, the story finally makes sense. He looks back at her, she goes, the story's bullshit about the ceilings, and then they're just like, oh, is it? And then they just kind of move on from that, which I think was another way to kind of like, oh, they've already been in the weird room where the ceiling's like fucking awkward, but like it's just normal now, so let's move on because he's not even interested in it anymore. I was made a note of that, and then I put, if you got me, you wouldn't even be sure what to do with me. That line she says to him, remember that? Mm-hmm. Because he's trying to impress her, and like basically she realizes like he's coming on to me, and he's like kind of nerdy, and he's going out of his comfort zone, and she has this weird moment where she just like looks at him and just earnestly like fucking, if you had me, you wouldn't even know what to do with me. And then he kind of chuckles, and then like she gets up and walks away, but there's a part of him and a part of you that's like, she's probably right. Like fucking, like I remember when I was like fucking in school and stuff, and we talked about that not that long ago. It's like fucking, like back when you were a kid, and that girl was like fucking, I'll suck your wiener for a pack of cigarettes. But you didn't even think about it, all that shit.
Dude, side note, a girl was, now in hindsight, I don't know if it ever really would have happened, or if it was all talk, or if I even really wanted it to happen in this kind of manner, because it doesn't sound like the kind of chick you bring home to mom. But this girl was she kept telling me like, hey, we'll both get a hall pass during whatever period, and I'll meet you in the restroom or whatever, and I'll give you a hand job. And I'm like, what? And she seems so fucking dead serious. And like, I remember I wanted to go through with it, but I'm like, I was thinking in the back of my head, like, I also didn't want to go through with it. I'm like, what the fuck would happen if I actually get there? Like, what the fuck? Yeah, exactly. Like this is,
stuff, yeah.
And I think this was like a year after the fucking cigarette thing. So I really didn't know what the fuck I would have did back then. But anyway, continue, digression. That's funny.
I wrote down that scene where he's filing stuff, and we meet the old man at work, and it's basically it's playing on those feelings you get when you start a new job, and you're seeing the old guy, and you get those feelings of, is that gonna be me? Like he's talking about like, I've been here for at least fucking 30 years, and there's like a point of you, like even if you don't hate the job, there's like a point of you, it's like, man, is that gonna be me? Like.
The more, when you're stuck in that mundane fucking in neutral position, your life goes by fucking fast. It's just gonna be,
exactly. And that's kind of what I think the movie touches on, getting fears of that too. And like, so right away he gets those feelings, and he basically just like puts up a wall between this guy and fucking, I don't even want to interact with this guy, but he's forced to a couple times throughout the movie. But like, I made a note that the fact that he does that is a little telling later on in the movie. I put down the next scene where, if I can guess your age, that's when he's talking to, he finally gets kind of the courage to talk to Maxine, who plays her again?
That's Catherine Keener. Is it Catherine Keener? Is that, yeah.
Catherine Keener. She does really good in this movie. Fucking this character is fucking so, I'm convinced that she represents just fucking pure, like just evil, because she's so super, manipulative, yeah, like the way she at first, but like she might have a change of heart later in the movie, but like I put that like where that's really funny, that scene where he's like, okay, if I can guess your age and I get it right, will you like talk to me? Will you have some coffee with me? She's like, oh, okay. And she's like, fucking, she's just going along with it. And then he does like basically a thing where he's like, you're losing, man. He's going on for a long time, just doing that thing where like, this seems like another thing that like an autistic person would kind of think of, and like fucking like, oh yeah, all I gotta do is fucking kind of guess, right? And it's literally going on for like what seems like a minute, where he's just like, a man's bed. Yeah. And finally he lands on an M, and she goes, like she perks up a little bit, and Maxine, and she's like, how'd you do that?
And I didn't catch on to that. I figured it was just like he was trying to do that fucking sleight of hand psychic trick they all do. Like, you know, they all do that. They act like they can read your mind, and they're just like looking for little facial cues and shit when they kind of say something. Doing, yeah. And which you said age at first, but you meant name.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Yeah, I'm like, no, yeah, I found that very weird too, but still, the whole concept of it. This isn't the kind of movie where I was getting a concept as I was going. It's like I have to fucking have the whole course.
It seems like they're setting up that he definitely feels like his coworkers are dumber than he is, or maybe they literally are. Mm-hmm. And maybe like fucking just that thought of like, you know, I'm so good at doing what I do, and they don't notice. Like they don't know what to do with me, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Like kind of that thought, maybe like fucking, it can go to your head in a way and fucking make you feel like you're better than everybody. Maybe that's kind of weighing in. Then I put the next scene that. They established that this girl he's been lusting after at work is a total abusive person. And when you bring in the fact that they cast Cameron Diaz, who was considered like a bit of a sex symbol at the time, to play his girlfriend at home, and they played her down to make like gave her ratty hair and stuff. Yeah. I think they're kind of making that really kind of lets you know kind of what they're trying to, like the metaphor they're trying to do. You know what I mean? Like he's just, he's gotten used.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing the mark, but like you said, Cameron Diaz at the time was hot shit or whatever, and they really made her homely. Was it kind of? I thought maybe he was preaching the whole familiarity breeds contempt thing, right? Like he doesn't, but I don't know, but continue.
That's what I'm saying. I think like fucking, yeah, basically he's got like a pretty woman at home, but just like, yeah, he sees like this other girl as like his white whale now. Like, just like, basically wanting to break that routine. Just like, remember, fucking, I noticed that while doing, the last movie we did, but that's something I pick in movies a lot. Fucking, whenever Truman just decides he's gonna break his routine and run into that building, and he accidentally sees the elevators open up, and it's like a fucking set behind there. Fucking that's something I gravitate towards in movies. I noticed, and I put it seems like Maxine represents adventure in a way, like getting a vacation from the mundane usual life. Like you kind of said that too, and then I put basically this is where he finds the crawl space and I put it as a question. I put, what if the secret crawl space behind the filing cabinet represents finding out that you get paid to take a dump while you're out at your job for the first time? Basically, remember that? Remember how that felt? Like fucking, it felt like I'm getting paid vacation now. I got a big serious job where I get paid vacation.
Yeah.
I made a mental note of that. Like maybe what if the crawl space represents kind of that place to yourself where it's kind of like you can kind of do your thinking and all that shit. I thought of while watching it. The fact that they got John Malkovich to basically play himself, more of a character actor type, isn't really known for specific roles. He's more famous for being kind of a theater actor, maybe even, but like kind of the whole thing to like, that must have been tough to sell to John Malkovich. Cause he could have easily thought like they're kind of making a joke out of, kind of like how no one really knows who I am and stuff like that. But like I remember hearing an interview where he said he met with Charley Kaufman and he's like, this guy knows what he's doing. He has a vision, and I just gotta like hope that he is able to convey his message in the film, because like
how does that lunch go? How does that lunch go with Charley Kaufman?
Yeah.
So get this, there's gonna be a scene where you're gonna see you with tits. And everybody's going to say, Malkovich. Like, okay, trust you, man.
We'll get to that scene.
I know, I'm jumping ahead of it. Which I did say, whoa, those are some nice tits. Then it zoomed in, like, it's Malkovich's fucking head. It fucked with me a little bit. Weirdest boner ever. No, I'm just kidding.
I like how the only explanation we get for how the crawl space works is he gets spat out at the end of, all of it. And he crawls in, and he realizes he's able to see through the eyes of another person. And throughout, kind of, he's basically just seeing a day in his life. He's drinking coffee, reading the paper, and then he gets like a phone call, and the message says it's John Malkovich, so he knows who it was. or somehow. I think he's actually represented as the only guy in the movie who recognizes out of their friends who he is, and he has to explain it to everybody else.
I don't think so, because he was in John Malkovich. They get to go in for 15 minutes, and he got in the cab, and he saw that whole exchange with the cab driver, right? Like, you're in that one jewel heist movie. Oh, and I love you just hear his voice. No, that wasn't me. Like, he's got this really fucking weird, oh no, yes, that's me. He's got this really weird fucking voice. So even when he was like, like you said, telling people about John Malkovich, like, who's that again? He's like, oh, he's in the jewel heist movie. He didn't know either. He said the same shit he heard from that fucking cab driver. But anyway.
It's like you've already noticed he's a famous actor, but now, like, you can't just say, like, oh, I don't recognize anything you're from, because that would seem rude. So you got to, like, try to think of something, and you're trying really hard, but he's just that guy that you can't, he's always just a character.
I'd be like, it's that guy from Being John Malkovich. That guy. Yeah.
But I wrote that I like how we the only explanation we get for how the crawl space works is after the whole ordeal is done, he basically gets spat out and he falls into like a dirt ravine on the edge of town, and it's essentially like finding out like a weird spot in a video game that glitches you and sends you back to a different area, and that's all we get for how it works, and that's all we need because it's not important at all.
And they're so confident when they start pitching this idea to other people, obviously you're going to get there, they're so confident that just because I dropped in this spot on the side of the New Jersey Turnpike, everybody else is going to fall, because like he takes his wife there next and he meets her. I'll meet you there. Like, he just knows that's where, like, this might not be a wormhole. She might not end God knows where else, but it's so funny how everything just kind of like goes according to
they just know exactly how it works because it's not important at all. It's completely a metaphor for wanting to be someone else. Like the Angus thing, like fucking, you think you're the only kid that ever wakes up every morning wanting to be someone else, and basically how he tries to use this portal he finds as a way to basically win over Maxine, because like he's kind of realized like, oh, I can use this to get in with Maxine because now she'll have something she needs me. Because obviously she'll think this is cool, like once I convince her and everything. So now she'll need me for something, right? And it's almost like he was almost asking for an abusive relationship from the beginning.
Yeah, I want to be cucked. I want someone to dominate over my life, and I want that controlling Angelica Pickles type.
But I think it really is. It's implying that like he sees her as like the person that's like, there's always those people out there that believe that like fucking, I believe there is one specific person for me. And if you happen to find that person after you've already met your wife and gotten married, it completely makes sense that like fucking, well, like I'm not even going to think about it. I'm going to fucking try to get in with this girl. Like, I think there are people like that. I think he's probably one of them. And I wrote down basically like yeah, he sees it as like, I got to make it worth Maxine's while, and then the movie goes one step ahead and presents her as being like so manipulative that she understands that, and she starts using it to exploit him even more. Because she gets super manipulative throughout the movie. Yeah, and then the next scene, does the crawl space, this is another question I thought of while I was watching, does the crawl space represent finding that like that vice that helps you cope with your job or whatever? Like, oh, I'm going to have my morning cup of coffee, or fucking, I always get a little drunk before I go in. It just makes it a little, because we always talk about things like that. Oh, I'm going to go have my cigarette break. We're always talking about how like fucking, oh, it just kind of, technically it is like a way kind of, it is kind of a drug kind of response that like, it just makes me kind of feel better. And it's kind of sad that we got to do that to ourselves throughout our life. But then I wrote the fact that he gets Maxine before his wife, or the fact that he tells Maxine about the crawl space before his wife is really telling, because yeah, he goes to Maxine first, and it's just like, what the fuck?
And he just met her. He literally told her like in their first meeting when he went to the fucking bar when she agreed to have a drink with him. Literally, like the first thing he says is, "I'm crazy about you. I love you." Like, what the fuck? And she's awkwardly taking it weird too, like not as, you think somebody would be more like, you're fucking weird, and she has that attitude a little bit, but like you said, she's not exactly cut him off because maybe she can fucking play with him a little bit, but
they kind of present her as that character that almost gets off on knowing that she's kind of the object of affection for somebody,
and she kind of makes mention of that too when she has like the triangle going later.
And that scene where he's talking to her at the thing, he's like, he's basically doing the whole thing like fucking, I have a thing for like, I find you really interesting. Oh, you want to fuck me? And he's like, no, it's not like that. And she's like, oh, so you're gay? Like, oh, fucking, and then she makes a whole big scene, basically until he basically to keep talking to her, he has to go, yes, I want to fuck you. Like, it's just like she wanted to hear that. She just wanted to hear that and have that power over him, maybe.
Yeah.
And then, I wrote down, and then his wife gets addicted to becoming Malkovich, basically. Like, this is where they start playing with the idea of, like, body dysmorphia and bringing in, like, that she had a good time being a male. And she brings up, like, about how, well, it felt like everything made sense for the first time. And I think, like, throughout the movie, they are kind of touching on these different, like, things that we get self-conscious about. And they can become, like mental dysmorphia type of thing. Because I noticed about me, I think I kind of have body dysmorphia. I've mentioned it on I kind of did it in a joking way. I called myself trans fat. Did you hear that
that's
episode?
Actually, no, but that's a funny line though.
I called myself trans fat, and I was like, fucking, I spent most of my time as a chubby kid. Fucking, I get in my 30s, and I like 28, 29 or whatever. I lose all the weight, but like, there's still that moment, like, fucking, I know when I step on a scale, I'm like 200 pounds or whatever, but then like the clothes come off, and then I see all the scars, and it's like, fucking, I see a fat person still there because it's like it still just looks like I'm fat because like the skin and stuff. So I was like, I guess in a way I kind of am. So and that's like a thing where it's like, fucking, I literally have scars though, but I can see how, like, fucking, just like I can empathize with like how people like they can get, like, stuff like that can get stuck in their head about anything, like fucking anything, like even something as trivial as like fucking like gender and stuff like that. Those things that I think are trivial.
Yeah.
But then I wrote down
I don't think gender's trivial. I think it's a pretty insane argument to have in your head, burning. But it's not quite being the fat kid. But anyway, maybe you don't.
Yeah, I don't.
You meet those people that'll get with a chick and then they'll find out they're a trans chick and they'll be like, whatever. Like, that's fucking weird, man. I'd be like fucking Jim Carrey in the shower with a plunger.
See, I fucking I don't know if I'd ever do that, just because it's like fucking I'm just not sexually attracted to like penis at all. Like, fucking, it's like that. Like, fucking, if I found out, like, if I thought a chick was attractive and then I found out, oh, that's actually a trans chick, I'd be like, they make a fucking a very cute chick. Like, I fucking, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the scenario I was painting was like this, where if you were going out with them and you didn't see penis, or if they were post-op, right?
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
I think this is like, it's all metaphorical. Like, fucking, it's not supposed to be taken so literally, I think. But like, it's written in a way where you can take it. That's what I mean by this is kind of the most commercial movie. Is like, you could tell he was very much making, conceding things for like kind of people that were gonna sign the checks and stuff like that, what they wanted and everything.
Okay.
And then I put it feels like they're laying out it as being a contradiction that we all sit around and fantasize about being other people, but then we act weird whenever somebody does it with like with gender. So this is just making the point I pretty much just did. And then I put it's showing us look like we all fantasize about being other people, but some people, they take it like weird, like what we would, just like fucking they fixate on things that we would never notice and stuff like that. Because that's how the mind works. You could just fucking, just like what's her name getting fixated on her fucking chubby cheeks. It's like nobody knows.
Which, by the way, I know the era of Charlize Theron she's talking about, and I thought her cheeks were cuter. I thought she was like, they weren't fat. They were just like it was a rounder face, right? And and I never noticed it. Like, she got surgery. I didn't know that. I just felt like, oh, she lost 10 extra pounds. That's all, because she went from being in really good, a great physique to getting really fucking skinny to the point where, because sometimes that's all it takes is losing an extra 10 pounds to get that face shit. I just thought that's what, I didn't realize she got surgery, but she looked better. Yeah.
I think Charlize Theron actually looks in many ways better now as like the fucking older chick than she did, but she's got like a completely different look. But it's like I wouldn't say that it's like I can pinpoint like, oh, she looks like she had plastic surgery. It's just like she looks like she was lucky enough to like, if she did or whatever, like it didn't like fucking botch like so many.
Yeah,
people.
It looks natural. She looked the best though in that first movie she ever did, the Trial and Error, the Jeff Daniels and Michael Richards movie.
I think the movie I told you about, A Day in the Valley, is actually the first time, and that's when she said she saw it on the big screen and got it done. After that,
but that wasn't her first movie.
Oh, okay.
Because she had the puffy cheeks in this movie Trial and
Maybe
Error.
That's the first one that came out. Maybe.
Yeah, that was the first one. Well, that was the first one that came out because I remember I had the VHS and it said introducing Charlize Theron, and the movie was shit. But anyway, I remember her.
Mm-hmm.
Continue.
I put down the scene where they establish that they can. I think it's Cameron Diaz's character. They established that they found a way to influence Malkovich's actions by basically, or no, it's somebody, because after they discovered this, they decide like he's gonna let his wife know, he's gonna let Maxine know, his lover, and like fucking we're gonna sell tickets. And I realized like, that's so much like what we would do if we actually, like, if you think about mental exercises, like if you found a place where like fucking you could go and you could become some other person, that's exactly what we do. We'd find a way to make money off of it.
Yeah, regardless of Malkovich's rights, you'd find a way to exploit it. Yeah, 100%.
The fact that Maxine is represented as this girl he was in love with, but ended up being the ultimate amalgamation of basically every bad thing happening throughout his life ever since he met her. Like she basically ends up, spoiler alert, becoming friendly with the real Malkovich. Mm-hmm. So that basically she's that above everything. Like fucking, well, if I want the upper hand, I can become friends with Malkovich himself. And fucking, so like, she's basically gotten the upper hand to the point where fucking eventually she ends up stealing his wife from, and like that's not the way he thought this was gonna. I think ultimately it kind of is in a way a morality tale in a sense of like fucking the grass wanting to fucking maybe cheat on your wife or try that thing, and then fucking it all goes like completely fucking bonkers haywire to the point where fucking your wife is being stolen from you by the lover. Like that's funny to me. I think that was kind of like black comedy type of humor, ironic stuff coming into the script. And go ahead.
No, I was saying it was a weird moment too, where they both just fucking like came at her from each side, like and it was.
And the way they were setting her up, where it's just like, oh yeah, come over and just fucking, we'll just hang out. Like they're getting high or whatever, and she's saying like she has that memorable monologue where she's talking about like, oh yeah, the people that don't follow their dreams, like fucking, who gives a shit about them, right? That sounds like something you'd read on an inspirational type of thing that would get you all fired up to fucking go about your day. And but then like they're laying on like, oh, she's just so charming that they both fall. But like in the end, she's just it's like things she's doing to be manipulated. Like she's not really charming, and that's like how manipulative she is. That she's fucking faking this shit while she's high even. But then I put they point out the irony that even though we found out how to change the things people are self-conscious about with plastic surgery and make them feel better, it's ultimately all about the money. It's a very exploitative thing, sadly, and it makes the fact obvious that if they ever found a way where they could be somebody else for a day, they would charge the fuck out of it and make all the money possible, which is ultimately why we end up believing our whole lives that having more money is inevitably what will make us more happy. Amazing. Big Chad shit. I wrote it down right there. Fucking. Then I put to me, I think it's safe to say that Maxine basically represents that person who will stab anybody in the back to get what she wants, to get further up in the ladder. And what do you know, when she finds out that his wife is sexually attracted to her, she uses that as a way to manipulate both of them to get what she wants. Big Stacy shit, basically. I am attracted to you, honey, but only as Malkovich. She actually says that to his wife. when she reveals that, like, fucking, I'm in love with you. It's like, fucking, I love you too, but only as Malkovich. So she's basically trying to manipulate her into becoming Malkovich so that she happens to be there when she becomes Malkovich and, like, oh, you can have sex with me and stuff like that. Fucking, we're talking about her like she's super manipulated, but this is Stacey shit. They all do it, really.
And likewise, she tosses her to the corner once she realizes that John Cusack can manipulate him and control his body. Like, well, I'm back to him because now he can actually, yeah. It's like once again self-centered, and even the point where she's like, "Show me a puppet show." Like, what? Let me see your fucking stupid puppets.
Yep, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
I got that scene where they're at their apartment and she sees the picture of John Cusack's character. I already mentioned this. Basically, they were laying in that this is a sequel to Better Off Dead, and that's very Chad. And then I wrote, I think if pharmaceutical companies found a way to basically make a pill that changed your biology completely into whatever it is about yourself that you want to change, like watching their brainstorm sessions and behind the scenes board meetings would literally be like listening to Maxine talk in this movie. I think they were kind of like at this point.
That's an interesting concept and idea, actually. Like, just the idea if somehow Big Pharma somehow came out with some sort of drug that magically changed something, whatever it is you wanted about you, not on a physical level, a personality level, or whatever. That'd be fucked up.
Even if it was a physical level, they would still like charge the fuck out of it.
Well, and then people would fucking line up just like they did easily to go into a fucking weird wall or some weirdo was claiming it went into John Malkovich's head because all these people weren't even fucking questioning. You know, it's like, I think Maxine questioned for like half a second, like, well, I know shit. Oh, it's like everybody's just biting into this. You know, there's no way I would even go down that fucking tunnel. Like, even, well, what if he's right? No, nobody would. Nobody would be like, no, this guy's fucking on drugs. That none of this makes sense. But but you know, if they had some magic pill that could change whatever you wanted about yourself, whether it be personality, talent, everybody would take them. And then we'd be totally autonomous. It'd be so weird.
The ethics of that would be fucking crazy. Like they would, like, at that point, the conspiracy theories people try to get you to try to say about, like, oh, they're trying to convince your kids that they're transgender. They probably literally would be doing that at that point. If it's like, oh, well, we convince more people to fucking not like their bodies, we can fucking sell more of this shit. Fucking, and like it just goes to show, like, fucking whenever they like it kind of goes back to that thing where, like, when brands pretend like fucking they care about, like, they're all up on the fucking the human rights and shit. It's like they're ultimately just doing it because it's like fucking if it's that profit margin, baby.
Yeah, 100%.
I think if it became cool to fucking like hate gay people next month, they would be right back to where they were, I think.
Look. I mean, when every company was jumping on the whole "we stand with the Asian community," when that was the trend, like whatever, a couple months ago, the Asian crime, which I'm not poo-pooing that. That's obviously a terrible thing. But when you start seeing all these companies jumping on this bandwagon, sort of throwing out this arbitrary comment that really doesn't, what like, you have to ask yourself, what are you gaining by this? Are you posting a link to like a foundation you set up for Asian communities that you're putting money into? No, everybody was just like jumping on the bandwagon, like here at this company, here at literally fucking Dixie Cup, any company, we stand with the American. Like, but why are you? What is your end game here? Because if it's Apple saying that, they're doing that because we want you to buy an iPhone and not a Google Pixel. That's why. If you're out shopping for a phone this week, we want you to remember we stand with this Asian community thing that's going on right now and the Asian violence. So all you Asian people, when you're out at Verizon, you go with iPhone. Don't buy a Google Pixel. Sorry.
And like literally, if they made this, I wrote it down, if they made this drug, they could literally just name a price and people would pay for it. It doesn't even matter what it is. They will pay for it because everybody wants to be happy, because that's all I want in life is to be happy. Fucking Korn was, they knew what they were talking about, baby.
I don't even know what he says. I just know he says,
Yeah,
how fuck things can be. Yeah.
It feels funny to me. Fucking big Chad Dick energy.
Yeah.
I put down the scene. Did you just call me Lottie? That's where basically Lottie discovers that as long as she's thinking something hard enough or like yelling it, she can manipulate him into making him call. No, that's not yet. Fucking that she basically she knows and she's trying to manipulate Lottie and she's like, oh yeah, Lottie, and then Malkovich is like, did you just call me Lottie? And like they do something very meta once he realizes this is happening. Like it seemed like he started with the thought experiment, like, okay, I'm going to take that metaphor, like we all want to be somebody. I'm going to make a story about a guy who literally finds a place where he can become somebody, and we're gonna basically look at it through every angle, even to the point where like the weird thing it would do for the person that's like getting his brain entered, right? Mm-hmm. And I like that's something you never think about whenever it's like whenever you're kind of thinking about stuff like that. And that was really smart and clever, I thought, to add that to the movie. And I put the scene where John Cusack's character is at the lowest in his in the whole story is when he finds out that his wife and his lover are having an affair, basically, and he has that scorned lover anger, but he doesn't have it towards his wife because this is how Maxine has got them both manipulated. And I got the feeling watching this, like, what if the ultimate crux of the movie is that like that scene in the beginning where he's talking about, you know, why can't I just be comfortable at work? And then kind of having a normal job has brought in all these other problems because he has to deal with all the other people who can be very manipulative and really stressful for your mental health, baby. Fucking, and kind of like sometimes like they do kind of seem like they're playing that on Maxine as she's playing like the work politics where like, oh, I can become really in with the boss and fucking get shit I want that way. And like kind of these moral questions and the fucking stuff like that. I wrote down the scene where John Cusack discovers how to dictate what Malkovich says. Basically, they set it up like because he's a puppeteer, he's just kind of in that mindset where he's able to he's the one that kind of figures out how to kind of puppet Malkovich and all that stuff. And they have that scene where basically Malkovich is freaking out and he decides he's gonna go get advice from his buddy Charlie Sheen,
which that came out of left fucking field. Like Charlie Sheen, weird, so weird, man. What was the point? What's the point of that? What was the point of that? Just to let us into that kind of what it would be like for the person whose mind is getting entered. He must be like fucking, because like you would like there would have to be a part of you that thinks like fucking am I going crazy? Because he doesn't know about the fucking crawl space yet. So he's like, am I going crazy? Is she manipulating me into thinking like he says something like, what if she's like she called you Lottie and fucking, and he remembered that name because whenever they first had sex, there was that scene where she called him Lottie and he was like, why'd you call me that? And she's like, fucking, she basically plays it off like it's a kink thing. Like, do you mind? And he's just like, no, fucking, which is funny because it's like, that's what we'd all think probably. That's a very, very specific name though. Like kink, like
that's why
my mind would instantly go to, okay, is this your ex or something? Because that's a very specific name, Lottie. You know what I mean?
That's why Charlie Sheen, he's like, maybe she's a fucking witch and she's like fucking reincarnating her lost love throughout like fucking through your body and shit like that. And it's like fucking, that sounds crazy, but like from all he knows, that sounds no crazier than what actually is happening and shit like that. And then so I wrote down, it seems like basically I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself, and I wrote down basically that thing I said earlier where it seems like Charles Kaufman was writing the script. He thought, okay, for a thought experiment, let's pretend that it would be what it would be like if a person who was getting tickets sold to go into the crawl space to become them found out and went into his own crawl space, because basically at this point, John Malkovich, he's really suspicious of Maxine, so he starts following her, and he ends up at the job where they're bringing people to go into the crawl space. And then he sneaks up. He's like, what is this for? And the guy who's not paying attention just goes, oh, pay like $50 a pop, you can be John Malkovich for a day.
Which is funny because they don't recognize him either. They're just all like, hey, they all beat the shit out of him for cutting a line. They don't realize it's John Malkovich either. Which is funny.
And I wrote down, if you think about it, it's very meta, because if this scene weren't in the movie, we'd all be asking about that. We'd be like we'd all be thinking like, okay, so what happens if the guy who has this thing is being sold, what if he went into his own thing? And like, that's usually the thing you come up with after you watch the movie to try to pick apart the logic or something. Mm-hmm. But he thought of it as he was writing it. He's like, I had to put that in the movie now. And he's like, so like we get the scene. So now he's going through the weird imposter syndrome, just like the main character was getting at the new job. So it's like, and we get to see like, okay, so what happens whenever you go into your own thing? And you want to talk about what happens? Basically, it's just like a glitched out mess.
Malkovich. Like the menu, he looks at all the menu. It's just Malkovich. And then all he can say is Malkovich, and the waiter, I love it. Oh, Malkovich, yes.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
The first thing he sees is like, oh, he's at a restaurant. He's slowly looking up for the menu. He sees some boobas. He sees some big booba action.
Big ass fucking jugs.
And he's like, we're going up. And then he sees that the face is fucking his face, John Malkovich. With a female body, and then he realizes that the whole like room is full of waiters that all look like him. There's a lady singing. The lady singing is wearing a dress, but it's John Malkovich. Fucking like they're all just saying Malkovich. He goes to scream, and the only word that comes out is Malkovich.
He even sees like a kid or a midget. There's a kid or a midget or something that's got his face. It's fucking weird.
There's even a scene like as he's getting pushed out towards the end of the scene where like one of the guys pushing him. I don't know if you're supposed to notice or if this is like, we got to cut down on CG costs, so we'll just have this stand-in wearing a big Malkovich mask. But it almost works anyway. Just there's a guy wearing a Malkovich mask that's like pushing him out. This scene's really memorable. Yeah,
I didn't notice it.
You didn't notice the whole scene, or
no? I didn't notice the mask.
Yeah.
The effects were really good. That's what I was thinking of. Like 1999, it's like, wow. And it blows me away because it's like, I feel like this effect wouldn't look any better today. Like it's been 22 years and it looks so good. Like the face plantation on all those like bodies and stuff. Because those were real people when they put his face on them. But yeah, it looked really good. Didn't look weird. Because sometimes when they do that sort of technology, we've seen that before. It almost kind of looks like a floating head. It doesn't look natural. They made it look really natural. Like that looked like his head was really on a rockin' pair of tits. It looked like his head was really on, I mean, obviously it probably really was. Like maybe it really was John Malkovich playing the waiter, probably certain key where they could do it. Let's make it as 100% natural as we can. I don't know, but it looked really good.
Mm-hmm. The next thing I put in, you only didn't show. I wrote down a quote from the movie. Basically, later, the next thing in the movie is like, John Cusack is hitting his low. He's basically kidnapped his girlfriend. Pretty much, he's keeping her in a cage with the fucking monkey
his wife.
That they have. Yeah, his wife. My bad. And she says, basically, he's trying to plead with her. How could you do this to me? Like, fucking, I loved her. All this shit. I didn't do it, though, because I knew, like, I had, I love you.
Respect. No, he's like, I didn't actually do it because I have respect for the marriage or something like that.
And then she says, like, you didn't do it because Maxine wouldn't give you the time of day. She wouldn't touch you with a 50-foot pole.
He's like, that's true.
There's that scene where, like, I think that's the first time he did realize it. I think it was kind of laying down, like, let me see what I wrote here. That scene, the line got me thinking that if there's something super vulnerable about realizing, it made me think, like, there's got to be something super vulnerable about realizing that fact that I would have cheated on you, like, right there. But, like, the only thing stopping me was, like, the person wasn't into it. Like, you weren't even on my mind. Like, you didn't exist. Like, there has to be, like, a weird psychological thing that happens when you realize that. Like, I was just going to do that. And you put it together in the first mind that, like, oh, I am kind of the bad guy here. Because like before that, it does. It like sets it up like, oh, I'm just so in love with this girl. Like it's completely possible that he thought of like, oh, me and her, we're just like friends. Like it's weird to think about, and it made me think about that line from Eyes Wide Shut, where Nicole Kidman told him, like, I could have cheated on you, but I didn't. And I was kind of defending, like, I kind of see what she's saying. I think that's probably why, because I've seen this movie first, and I remember this scene where you get a sense that he, like, fucking, that's the first time he even put it together in his mind that he was planning on cheating on his wife the whole time. Yeah.
But like, I think that's a normal thing. I think I guess I can't say every case, but I think very, very common. Like if you have a guy and a girl and they're in a relationship, a marriage, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and let's say the woman cheats on the guy, at least on a guy, maybe I can't speak for a woman. A lot of guys are going to be like, are you fucking kidding? You know how many times, how many opportunities I passed up, right? Because they keep track of this shit, right? But they're in a relationship and they have respect for the relationship. I think that's very normal. But once they get dogged, or even if like the relationship ends, dude, come on, man. Even if the relationship ends amicably or amicably, they're still going to go back to those thoughts like, oh man, well, she hit it on me and she hit on me and this person from work. And so I'm going to go back to the old Rolodex. I'm going to hit him up now. Like you keep those tabs. And I think every guy would do that. Fuck, man. I mean, like, who wouldn't do that? I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, if your relationship is over,
you're likely to do that, because after you go through something like that, you're feeling vulnerable and you immediately want to go out and get fucked, because it's like, I have to prove to myself that I'm still attracted. Like, that's just kind of what happens to people. Cause like, we don't think about logically, but it's just kind of in our nature or something. Like we feel like we've been fucking, like, yeah, it's just weird.
So, yeah. I was just thrown away. I was discarded. I need someone to pick me up out of the trash bin.
Yeah. I put the scene where the monkey has the flashback.
Weird. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Where he's like, the mother and father monkey, like, what, savior, what the fuck was this all about? And then
I'm still completely lost of what.
And he all of a sudden got the courage to like untie her. Like, what does that have to do with the monkey's parents' message? And what is... I don't know. For a second, I'm like, did the monkey go in John Malkovich's head and I missed it? What the fuck is going on here?
Maybe that's what they're trying to.
But he was in the cage. It was so fucking weird.
This was there to insert some absurdity and to kind of make it more appealing to people watching.
You know, another absurd moment too. I think it was around this part when he first tied her up. And he had the tape over her mouth and she got put in there with the monkey. And, she should be outraged. She just got fucking locked up. He just had her like do the voice thing so he could go meet Maxine. And she makes kissy faces through the tape at the monkey.
She notices like, oh, fucking, that he leaves, and but then she looks over and the monkey's just like all innocent and kind of kisses her. That made me think that might have been something that happened while they were filming it and they just kept it in the movie.
It looked like an ad lib thing, because if you see like it's the same thing, a dog. If you're filming a dog, you're gonna make little kissy faces at the dog or whatever. And yeah, it's like she probably just did it second nature. Like, I know we just finished the scene. This monkey's trying to kiss me. Like, oh, you kind of go into that mindset. Yeah, it's so fucking weird. Like, what the fuck?
And then I put Craig, that's John Cusack's character. We haven't called him that at all, but like his name's Craig. I put Craig can control Malkovich scene with Lottie and Maxine. This is where they establish that because Craig is a puppeteer, he's able to master pretty much everything about controlling Malkovich and basically become him for much longer periods of time. And now, because of Maxine's desire to use everything and manipulate it to her advantage, she's now kind of in love with Craig now, because like now he can become Malkovich, and she tells him. I put, what a clever way to bring back the old man character that John Malkovich, or that John Cusack was afraid of becoming, because when John Cusack's wife goes to him for help, he already knows about it and get like, this is fucking. I felt like that was kind of like one of those ironic kind of black comedy moments where it's like, oh, fucking right away, he didn't want to have anything to do with that character. But that character kind of, because he knew the building enough, he knew exactly. And he kind of had all the answers from the beginning in a way, in like a funny kind of ironic way.
He had that weird shrine to fucking in his house that she stumbled across of John Malkovich's entire fucking career.
So basically, this old guy that she goes to for help, because he's a coworker of John Cusack, she's like, fucking, we found some kind of gate to the fucking subconscious or conscious of John Malkovich. And she's like, of course, he's going to think she's crazy, but they play up on that, like, fucking, I already knew about that. Fucking, and basically,
she asked him because she saw the room when she first met him, and she's like, can I use the restroom? And he's like, yeah, it's the 5th door on your right. And then it's funny because that was a funny little play on words, because when he's telling her it's the 5th door on the right, we're kind of like her. We instantly imagine, what do we imagine? She's going to go upstairs and see a corridor. We imagine seeing a long hallway because he says 5th door on the right. And there's going to be doors lining up the side. So it's kind of just as like jarring when she walks up there and we see that, oh, it's like this cluster of fucking doors. Like which one is it? Because that's where our mind went to. And she picks the wrong one, and she sees that weird fucking like shrine to his entire life. So I thought she asked him, like, what is your relevance with this actor? I thought she approached it. Am I wrong?
Maybe.
Yeah, like, who is he to you? You know, because she was onto it.
And then I put down, we get that scene where the old guy explains that he himself is a person in another body who found a vessel years before, and now his new mission is basically before midnight. He's got this is kind of a way to insert the fucking like fairy tale elements, I think. Before midnight, he's got to find his new vessel, otherwise he'll die and be reborn as a prisoner in the mind of an infant that just happened to be born next. Kind of bringing in the idea of like reincarnation, maybe. Mm-hmm. I put down the scene where you mentioned it earlier, where she has him do basically prove to me that you're super like into, and like you're the kind of you can completely become Malkovich. Do one of your puppet shows, do an interpretive dance through Malkovich. That scene gave me some high meta feelings. Like, I don't know if you noticed, like kind of the idea of the actor performing, and kind of with the metaphor of being a person locked in the cage in the mind, and you had to experience someone else's life. Because I'm sure actors feel like that all the time, like those ones that go super method. Probably like fucking Malkovich is probably one of those guys. Fucking it's just another kind of dysmorphia kind of idea of like fucking the mind is a different person or whatever. And then I put like that scene where they're trying to convince Cusack to just stay in Malkovich, and like, we'll just live happily ever after. Like, we can use his money, and Maxine is trying to do this. And I put we can use his money, we can get by on that. And Malkovich tries to break through and come in and stop it, so he can he does that little twitch where he's like, no, and he's like, stop it, we're talking here. Like, that could have been a metaphor for like Tourette's, or like other things, like fucking
John Malkovich, he's awesome in the movie. Like, he's really good, like, because the what he has to do, the physical acting, the multiple personalities basically at this point is really, really impressive. I thought he was really, really good. Which, before we go, there's something about this whole part of the movie that the only part of the movie I was scratching my head, like, it felt like a plot hole to me. So once you're kind of getting through it, I might jump in and ask you, because it was weird to me.
But did you think that too? Like, the fucking like Tourette's maybe metaphor for like fucking the body is like fucking born without the ability to do this thing that like my brain is not making these weird noises, but I have a twitch in my fucking body. Just decide, like, that would be weird to go through that too. Yeah. And Eric, I'm no longer an actor, I'm a puppeteer.
Oh, and I think that's when he was like trying to fight back, which was funny. He was like, well, like, yeah, like I'll quit acting and I'll be. It seemed like he took extra offense at that. Like, God, like, don't like, can you imagine like shitting on my legacy? You gonna make me a fucking puppeteer? I don't know. I found that funny. Like, that must be what's. I don't know.
I thought this stuff with him deciding to become a puppeteer is so funny, and we'll get to that. But I wrote down basically what happens in the scene is fucking Maxine has told him, like, let's just do it, like, just be Malkovich, and like you can have all the dreams you wanted as him, and like fucking you can, like, now it'll be even easier, because we've all thought this too, like, oh, if I could just be that guy who's kind of better looking, maybe I could be an actor then. Like, fucking, I think this is kind of that, like, fucking like if I could just be like somebody who already has some clout, and then I wanted to be like do my weird niche thing, like I would get all the recognition. Fucking like I think it's kind of like hold on, I'm trying to like live make sense of some of my weird chicken scratches here.
And while you're doing that, the big question I have is from this point on, like specifically the point from when Cameron Diaz goes to the old man's house and she kind of like learns all the exposition and like all that stuff. And from this point all the way to the point we're getting at where time has passed and he's growing his hair long like John Cusack and he's now the puppeteer. How much time passes? Because it's so confusing because she's pregnant now, right? But then we see Cameron Diaz and she's still at the old man's house. And she's like, we decided we like you and we want you to come along and be a part of this thing on the 45th birthday of the midnight. And I'm like,
yeah,
it seems like it's one day, but when we cut to like when we cut to Malkovich, he's established this big career. We see like newspapers and TV stuff like, oh, he's made this big transformation into puppeteering. He's got long hair like John Cusack. She's pregnant. I'm like, wait a second. So they're alluding to the fact that at least 8 months have passed or whatever. But Cameron Diaz, when we go to her, I'm like, wasn't it the same night? Wasn't it like one day? And it's like, we got to do this by midnight. And it was weird. I don't know if that was an editing thing. I was confused.
He actually does that a lot with his movies, like the passage of time and how it feels like moments just go by. He did. I think his next movie is Synecdoche, New York, and it's all a metaphor about like how, like whenever you're after the fact, you look back and it seems like fucking. Like my daughter was just like fucking 9 years old or whatever, and like kind of like just throughout the movie, it's slowly every shot seems like fucking it's implying that like years could have passed between these shots if you're paying close enough attention. And stuff.
It was really weird. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? When they went back to Cameron Diaz, when they're saying, oh, we like you, we want you to be a part of this. I'm like, what? We're still on this? No, I thought we just jumped 5 years in the future. What the fuck happened?
I think that was supposed to be kind of like a cult, and they kind of adopt her into their voyage of finding the next, because their plan is for her to come with them. Like they bring all these old people and they're looking for her. Like at the end, like they're asking like, where'd she go? Fucking, and she just happens to be gone.
And that was confusing too. By the way, the whole plot about all these other old people that's in his house, are they first timers like Cameron Diaz and he's like the cult leader, or are they like him and they've been traveling all this time, and they're all going to go into one vessel? Like what, how is that going to work? But yet when they accomplish it, it seems like the main old man's still controlling it. I'm confused. There's a little bit of weird John Malkovich, but I was a little lost there. Like all the people he was with, were those people he was like, that also recruited into a cult? Were they new to this concept?
I think so. Yeah, I think they probably like, oh, you want to live forever? You can come with me. You won't be able to make decisions, but like you'll be part of them, and you'll probably like kind of the mind locked in a cage kind of thing or something.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
I wrote down I was making the point earlier about like, oh, if I could just become them and like I could really make a career for what I want to do. And like I wrote down like the Maxine's quote from early in the movie, kind of I thought of it as I was writing that down, like, you wouldn't know what to do with me if you had me. I think that's kind of like laying that out even more. Like fucking, because what ends up happening, fucking, because at this point you're like, fucking, he got what he wanted. Like he's a rich guy now. He's got the love of his life. She got what she wanted. Like it's kind of like a weird, sick, happily ever after, because even the evil person got everything, and they're just gonna have this manipulative relationship. And then it cuts to like 5 years later. And this scene right here, where they're basically catching us up, they're showing like, oh, inside the actor, like it's some kind of like a award-winning documentary basically made about fucking Malkovich, and it starts out with him. It pulls out. He's got all crazy, funky hair, and he looks fucking goofy. And in his funny voice, he says something like, "Oh yeah, there is a truth and there are lies, and art always tells the truth, even when it's lying." And I laughed my fucking ass off, because you know what they're doing here. It's so perfect. Like whenever an actor or someone does this, like something that like all of a sudden they change their career and all of a sudden they're completely different people. Seems like just out of nowhere. It always seems like they're full of shit. Like they're being pretentious. Mm-hmm. But like it's funny in this case. It's actually a different person. That's so funny.
Yeah, that's funny.
And we're always super suspicious of that kind of stuff whenever we see it happen in the movie. We instinctively get like, oh, is this some kind of grift they're doing? Like, is this some kind of like? For some reason, it just seems. But we shouldn't think that because we know people can literally change their personality overnight with just like an accidental bump to the head, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I put basically, I put spoiler alert. Like, I realized like this is a good time we could stop and talk about and just give like a spoiler alert, unless you want to get into like the nitty gritty of the ending and everything.
I think we should just get into the nitty gritty of the ending.
Okay, baby, I put the spoiler ending is that basically he finally it's not really the ending. It's kind of like more like the whole third act, but like it wraps it all up. And basically the ending is that he finally gets all his notoriety as a puppeteer like he wanted, and then his wife, after she teamed up with the old guy and they all basically were on their voyage to find the next vessel, basically end up taking over Malkovich. And our boy Cusack's character is reduced to spending eternity imprisoned in the mind, watching somebody else live out the life he doesn't get to. And we find out Maxine has a heart after all, because we find out that she got pregnant from Cameron Diaz, and there's like she's now pregnant. So like there's that instinctual, like, you were technically the father, I guess, and they realize how fucking weird it is, but it's kind of pointing out like fucking it doesn't make any sense, but like fucking it's you were him at the time. It's kind of very metaphorical, and like that scene basically it all comes to a head where like they kidnap Cameron Diaz. They're like fucking, or not Cameron Diaz, his wife now, which is basically Maxine, and they're like, we're gonna kill her if you don't get out of Malkovich, because they can't just jump into him. They gotta coerce him to get out, because he's so good at being a puppeteer that it's like, oh no, he'll be able to just fucking jam us right into fucking Malkovich's subconscious. And there is that scene where Maxine and Cameron Diaz, they chase each other through, because they jump into the portal and they go through a subconscious, and we get some. I wonder if these are real stories.
Very Inception style. Like, you're bad, where he's like in the fucking basement. No, I thought it was all. It was so fucking weird. I thought that scene was cool.
Yeah, but like, I don't know if these are based on real stories from Malkovich's childhood, or if it was just because I mean, they're kind of vague enough to where it's like we've all been through shit like that.
He peed himself on the school bus.
What were they calling him?
Malkopee, right? John
like
Malkopee.
So basically, like, yeah, they coerce him, they get him out. Like, finally, he realizes, like, you know, maybe he basically starts setting in. They're leading, like, fucking. It's starting to fatigue him. Like, he's going to these different places. He can't just be a normal guy anymore. They're like, oh, aren't you Malkovich? And eventually he gets pissed off, and he's like, I'm not fucking Malkovich. You know, he calls him back. He's like, fine, you can have his body. Fucking, I want out. And so like, so yeah, fucking. The twist ending is he gets out, and it's like, oh, now we can be together. Maxine and fucking his wife have basically patched things up, and like, fucking, you're the daughter of our son. Fucking, there is a part of me that fucking loves you, and fucking. So like, another one of those like ultimate kind of fuck you black comedy type of ironic endings. I thought.
So when he was watching at the end, I don't get it, because he left the John Malkovich body. He got fucked over by Catherine Keener and all that stuff. How was he able to go back in the tunnel? How was he watching somebody? You know what I mean? Again.
What did happen? He ended up in the kid of he must have.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was looking that through the kid. How did that happen though?
Fucking yeah, fucking I missed that too. Fuck.
It doesn't make any sense because he goes from him getting fucked over to, you know, we see the John Malkovich older, like some time, it's like 10 years later, and he goes to Charlie Sheen's house and he's trying to tell them about, like, hey, because they're making the plan to jump into the daughter, right? Right, like, he's telling Charlie Sheen and they even say Gary Sinise, like, some of these old, we can get all you guys together, and you know, we have this specimen.
That's right. We find out he's in the daughter. Basically, it's probably leaving that open. Like, he must have found another tunnel, and he probably went to the ends of the earth, basically, so he could just be around them. But ultimately, he still is in love with the big abusive.
Yeah,
a bitch of the story, because he's just like, oh, Maxine, Maxine.
But just the how he got in there, that's like very convenient. Like, it just is like, okay, like that's like, what the fuck is that?
That I almost forget about that every time, and that could have been something they had him put at the end, like, oh, it's got to have some kind of fucking like, oh no, the big twist ending already happened. It's like, yeah, but we fucking can't you put him in the fucking daughter? That sounds like something a suit would do. But I don't know. Yeah, maybe there's something I missed. Maybe there's another metaphor I'm missing. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
If I'm even correct on any of these, because he's not a guy who comes right out and just explains what the movies mean.
To me, the ending he got was finality enough for him. And then 10 years later, we just can assume. I mean, I guess they could have showed him another way. It might, I don't know. You'd think it would have almost been the same effect if it was 10 years later and they showed him like creeping at the park, like on a bench, like watching the girl, watching them. That would have been the same effect. Like,
it could have been that he's not literally there, but like fucking kind of that thing lives on in the kid, because we all do that. Like, we all fucking wish we were somebody else. Like, fucking, I wish I looked like that guy. Like, maybe it was just trying to imply that fucking the saga continues. And and like, yeah, the idea that, like, if we could find out how to do this, like, imagine how fucking scary that would be for people who actually have a nice job. It's like, fucking I don't want to get too fucking comfy. Like, people might be trying to steal my body, baby.
You don't want to be too renowned, too yeah, exactly. You want to be decently off, but not too decently off. Yeah.
Kind of maybe the same kind of metaphors that Body Snatchers was touching on.
If that was like a thing, I think, you know, whenever technology or new stuff comes out, it's uber expensive and only the super rich can afford it. So if only the super rich people could afford it, you know, the first people that would get overtaken will be celebrities, right?
No.
You know, it's like rich people are already rich. If they can afford this fucking new drug, the only thing that they're missing in their life that they might want is fame. They're going to be an athlete, or they're going to go for The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Then maybe over time, it's like, I guess it would come down to the little people, and then who's left? Like, can I also take Dwayne Johnson if he's already been claimed? Like, what?
I just want to be Dwayne Johnson because I always want to be able to say, hey, remember your brother Dwayne? Fucking, yeah. That didn't work. Fucking, that's a callback to a line from Tommy Boy, but it would have had to have been the brother of Dwayne Johnson.
If I could possess Dwayne Johnson for a day, I would just look in the mirror and I would be like, I have to admit to myself that I make shitty movies. Like, I don't make good movies. Like, how does he go to work every day? Like, he has to know. Like, he has to know when he comes off the set of Rampage or whatever. Like, that was a big piece of shit, but I got paid a lot of money and people are going to fucking go to the theater to see it. Like, I mean, how do you sleep at night? Like, I mean, I guess the money and the big bed it bought and the big house, but
maybe he figured he'll just do what fucking Adam Sandler did and do like 2 good movies.
Well, he started off his career kind of like that, where it's like he made a couple of movies that I thought were good. I thought he made a couple of like legitimate action movies, like that movie Faster. I thought, like, oh, this is like he's trying to make a real action movie. Billy Bob Thornton. It's pretty cool. And then just I don't know where the turning point was. Where the turning point was where he started making all these fucking shitty movies. And it was just, yeah, but. Anyway, we're getting off the beaten path. So do we get into ratings and all that stuff or what?
Let's do it, baby.
Yeah, get wrapped up. See, obviously you go first.
I give this movie a 10 out of 10. I love this movie.
Really?
I love this movie.
A 10 out of 10?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I think I saw on your letterbox as an 8.
I always fucking make sure I don't fucking put the real rating so you just don't know.
Okay.
I'm strategic. Like, I hate, like, whenever you upgrade, I kind of like, and then I accidentally see it. I'm like, oh no, I just saw his rating for this month.
You didn't by chance, like, for my movie next month, you didn't look at my review and stuff on there, did you, and see it? Did you?
Nope.
Okay, because like I don't even want you like reading my reviews and stuff. Like you need to go into as blind as possible. Because like I said,
yeah.
I'm not saying it's great or amazing or good or bad. I'm just saying it's something you should watch. That's as much as I want to say. But anyway, yeah. So this movie, I was teetering between 2 scores. I was really teetering between a 6 or a 7. And for me, I think I land on a 6. But that's if I have to round. It's probably somewhere in the middle between a 6 or a 7. And if I did lean towards a 7, it's because John Malkovich was really good in it. Like he was very entertaining in it. But I don't know. It's a movie that is this the kind of movie that's ever like a 10 out of 10 or even a 9 out of 10 the first time you watch it?
No.
It's like you got to keep in mind, I watched this for the first time. A lot of the shit you're talking about was not going through my fucking head when I was trying to make sense of it as it was going. Because like I said, it's I went into this basically blind. Like I said, I'm literally trying to make sense of each scene as they're happening. I really can't get a vision of the big picture with this one because every little fucking scene is its own weird fucking thing and there's so much to pick apart. I almost have to sort of kind of just accept a lot of it at face value because I know it's one of those movies where if I take so much time trying to dissect the scene I just saw, I'll get confused and I won't focus on what I'm seeing. And so I just have to take it at face value and think about it and unpack it later and do all that shit. So we'll see. It was entertaining. I think I'm kind of, like I said, in between a 6 or 7, leaning towards, like I said, I rated a 6. I think that's probably where I'm at.
I remember I saw this movie on cable or something at some point, and I don't remember what I thought about it initially, but it was a movie I could, like, years passed, and like I never stopped kind of thinking about. Fucking just had that, and at the time I didn't notice any kind of message or anything. Fucking the first time, I wasn't thinking about it like that. But it was just one that got stuck in my head. And I remember fucking, I was trying to find it at some point because I couldn't just go rent it. Like my video store didn't have it. And I was bringing it up to Mac. I was like, there's a movie I really want to fucking watch. Fucking again is, Being John Malkovich. He's like, oh, I've seen that. That's shit. That's stupid. And I realized cause I took his like, oh, maybe I was just wrong. This is definitely not a Mac movie. Cause we always coin that where it's like, this is a Mac movie. This one definitely isn't a Mac movie.
Mac is more Ghoulie speed. Ghoulie's one.
Exactly. I like it more and more every time I watch it.
So I think, like I said, I settled on a 6 because, like I said, the way I do ratings, it's like, well, how do I feel about it in the moment? Because part of me wanted to give it a 7 for other things. Like, man, I almost want to like bump it to a 7 just because of how batshit crazy the concept is. Just the fucking thought that this idea not only made it into a writing room or whatever.
It does have kind of that Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey type of what
but
the
fuck.
fuck.
Just the fact that the idea actually was constructed and came out of someone's head and was put onto paper is one thing, but then that somebody greenlit it and said, yeah, let's do this. It's so fucking bananas that I almost wanted to give it a 7 just because of that. And like I said, Malkovich's performance. But like I said, right now, as far as how I took the movie on a first viewing, I'm still going to call it a 6, but we'll see. We'll see what happens this time as time goes on, but it was definitely worth a watch.
So I don't know if you'll be red pilled on Charley Kaufman or not. You might, because this is kind of the most it might be one of those things.
I definitely have that line where it's like when it comes to weird surrealism bullshit. There's a weird funny line with it. I don't know, like and I'm not saying this is like the same type of surrealism or genre as something like Beyond the Black Rainbow, but something like a Beyond the Black Rainbow movie where it's just like. And I know that's not really a fair comparison because I know you didn't like it either, but yeah, I'm trying to think of God, I'm trying to think of a movie that does it well that I like it, you know, because there's like a weird line, but I could be talking with my buddy Randall and I can acknowledge I just watched a Randall movie. Like you said, a Mac movie. I watched Beyond the Black Rainbow and I'm like, that's a total Randall movie. And it scares me sometimes when there's a total Randall movie because I might like it, but if it just tips over that fucking line, it's like I'm too far gone. I don't fucking get it.
That's kind of how I am with all of Charles Kaufman stuff. Like the one, probably the hardest one to wrap your head around is Synecdoche, New York, and that's the next one he did, and he actually directed that one. And it actually is kind of a companion piece to this movie because he's kind of writing it about himself, and the main character is kind of a writer, and there are scenes where he's on the set filming John Cusack going through the little fucking
weird
room and shit. So it's kind of autobiographical, but like meta shit thrown in, and like he's really good at that. Like the fucking adaptation where it's like fucking he was given the job to write a script about fucking a book about flowers, like adapt it to a screenplay, and they say write what you know, and he's like, this isn't me. Like he tried, and he's just like, I can't write this, so I'm just gonna fucking go. I got to write what I know, and I got to write a story about a guy, Meta, who is hired to write a book about, and like weird. He turned in the script about fucking, and apparently like fucking it was a hard sell, and like the lady again who was the writer was just like fucking I met Charles Kaufman, and it's like he knows kind of he's got his fucking his mission in his mind, it's all mapped out, and I had to put my faith in him and shit like that.
Yeah, I don't know, I can't really a movie like Mulholland Drive, I could watch Mulholland Drive and I could easily say, oh, this is a Randall movie, but I liked Mulholland Drive. It didn't cross that line. It was fucking weird, and but it didn't cross the line. But yeah, like Beyond the Black Rainbow or some other types of movies, I'm like, this is still a Randall movie, but it fucking loses me. I
can't. This one skirt that line?
Yeah, this one is not. This one doesn't go over the line at all. Like I said, I'm telling you, if it goes over the line, it misses me completely. Like Beyond the Black Rainbow is like a fucking half a star because it just misses the mark. I don't enjoy my time with the movie. I want it to be fucking over. It's just total nonsense. Like it just crosses this weird line where I don't think the movie, in my opinion, maybe I'm just not smart enough. I'm too feeble-minded, but in my opinion, the movie no longer knows what it's trying to accomplish with this, and it's crossed this line into weird pretentious bullshit. That's me. Maybe I just don't get it, but just like a Mac movie.
There are movies that kind of cross that line. Fucking pretty much, even people that love fucking artsy movies, kind of. From what I hear, it's kind of a consensus that they think that fucking Only God Forgives is one of those movies. That's just pretentious.
Oh, exactly. Only God Forgives. That is a Randall movie, and so I made the mistake of. I would see movies that Randall always liked, or I'd watch on Letterboxd, and Only God Forgives, 10 out of 10. Oh, okay. Well, my buddy Randall likes it. I'm going to watch it. Now I know better. Just like I know when Riverman says a movie's really good, now I question a little bit. Old Riverman, it used to be pretty in sync. Riverman now, I'm like, I question. When Mac gives fucking Ghoulies 10 out of 10, I question. You know, so it's like, I get it. But yeah, I watched Only God Forgives. And I love Drive, right? Because wasn't that Drive was the guy's first movie that did only. Okay, I like Drive. That one, but that one's not too wacky. It's artsy and stuff like that, but it's not out there. And I liked Drive. I watched Only God Forgives, and I'm just like, this one's missing the mark for me. I didn't like. I don't remember what I gave it, but it was not good. It was probably like 1. I'm like, I did not like anything about this fucking movie, and I thought it was the epitome of style over substance to me. And of course, when I told Randall, like, hey man, I watched that fucking movie, I fucking sucked. And he's like, oh, it's one of my favorites. It's perfect. Like we're on different wavelengths, but sometimes we're not. So it's like, I have trouble understanding it sometimes. But
I think like just like everybody's kind of life, it defines their taste. So like fucking whatever reason, fucking a Riverman, his life fucking it made him like these fucking whatever it is, he was drawn to something about fucking. I usually don't think it's like they're just fucking. like they can't like that fucking they like I tend to not like think people are lying when they fucking like a movie and stuff like that. Yeah.
What's it called? Mac movie Ghoulies. Mac gives it a 10 out of 10. I know how Mac is now at this point. He likes one scene, or he remembers the cover. He remembers there's actually ghoulies in it when there's really not ghoulies in this fucking movie. And it's a 10 out of 10. And I scratch my head. But I'm one of these guys that loves Ernest Goes to Jail, Ernest Goes to Stupid, which to me are fucking total Mac movies too. But I grew up with those movies and I can appreciate how fucking stupid they are. But even then, like, I think there's always going to be good movies and bad movies. So just like there's good horror movies and bad horror movies, there's good action movies, bad action movies. I love action movies. If you want to be totally correct, I like good action movies. I can't say I love all action movies because I don't like bad action movies, right? When you say you like action movies, I like good action movies. So I'm going to call Mac movies, Randall movies, Zach movies, a genre just like that. Like, I like good Mac movies because Ernest, they're not all created equal. Ernest Scared Stupid is a Mac movie, but to me, it's memorable because every scene is memorable. It's so, in what it tries to accomplish, it does it well. This is so fucking stupid. We have a man-child that hangs out with little kids. We're not going to question why. No one questions this. And he's almost on their mental level and fucking stupid shit ensues. Ernest Goes to Jail. It's the fucking stupid. There's something about it. It does the Mac movie good. Ghoulies is not a good Mac movie. And in my opinion, Mulholland Drive or whatever I use for an example is a good Randall movie, but Only for God Forgives is not. I don't know. It's no different than any other genre, but I don't even know what an Aaron movie would be, by the way. I don't really have, like, to me, I watch Happiness.
To me, it would be action movies.
Well, to me, I look at you and I'm like, oh, Happiness. That's a total Zach movie. Right? Now I look at movies like that. I'm forever scarred with those types. And to me, Happiness is a great Zach movie. I'm trying to think of what a bad Zach movie. There's tons. So it just, yeah.
Necromaniac.
Those are totally different types of movies. So I really can't call that a Zach movie, even though they're both Zach movies. But anyway, getting off of track here. But anyway, yeah, that's where I stand with it. But it didn't go off the rails as far as obscurity. Like I it is what it is. I don't remember a fucking thing about Only God Forgives. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with this fucking movie? It's stupid. It felt like the end of Lords of Salem, like all the fucking weird red imagery and just like the weird scenery bullshit and no like dialogue. It was like a whole movie of that. Like, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, there's a whole bunch of people that worship Terrence Malick, and that's, I don't know if we had a friend that loved those types of movies, they would be that friend movies. But for now, they're just film buff movies, film snob movies. Like Terrence Malick, I can't get into it. Some people worship that guy, and I'm instantly, my boner goes into my stomach when I see directed by Terrence Malick because I know what I'm in for, and it's fucking Tree of Life bullshit, and I can't do it. It's not like, it's just that one occurrence. No, pretty much except for something like Badlands, like early in his career, he's pretty much Terrence Malick now. He's gone full Terrence Malick, and he never came back. So, anyway.
I think fucking Tree of Life is, I think I gave it like a 5. So I don't get as pissed off at stuff like, even though I was like, there's nothing like super entertaining about this, but it's like, visually, it's kind of like it works as a screensaver. Fucking, I could leave this on.
It's a giant screensaver, and to me, that's not a movie, man. Like, yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 for a screensaver, but there's no best screensaver Oscar. I don't know. The last time I checked.
Also, during that scene where like they're doing the like, inside the actor studio kind of like documentary about fucking, John Malkovich, he threw it all away and became a fucking they were doing like reviews or like interviews with other celebrities at the time. They had like fucking Sean Penn. He's like, I think one day we'll all basically leave acting and become puppeteers. Like they're taking the totally wrong thing from it.
Yeah,
it's like,
it was really funny.
He just like followed it, like he shouldn't make it a new trend to do. But like they always kind of do that.
Speaking of Aaron movies, I have to go back and I think I have to revise some of my ratings because recently I've been going and listening to other commentaries that do like some of those old Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. And I've seen these movies a bajillion times, but I don't know. Recently, it's just clicked. I was watching it with these other guys, and they were just ripping it up. I'm like, you know what? This is a bad movie. Like Lionheart. Like, this is really not a good movie. And it's funny because I've always considered it one of the better Van Damme movies. I'm like, what is that? Really is telling, because and the more I think about it, I'm like, really, Jean-Claude Van Damme, in my opinion, has two good movies, like Bloodsport and Kickboxer, and then he has movies that I give passes to. That's kind of all it is. And then like I was watching this commentary for Death Warrant, which I've always loved Death Warrant. I'm like, this movie really is a fucking wreck. It's a fucking mess.
It probably is one of those things that like you just grew up with it and it becomes comfort food. There's this like part of it where it's just like, I don't have to like criticize like the dumb thing. It's just like it's given.
Nothing about Death Warrant makes a lick of fucking sense. And it's like, I realize that, but it takes sometimes like a whole bunch of people just fucking gang raping the movie you're watching. Like, I'm like, you know what? You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. This movie is fucking shit.
I think Death Warrant was one I watched and like I was having a hard time getting into, like, if I remember right. I had to have at least given it like probably no more than a 5.
It's one of those things where the movie is just a wreck and it doesn't know what it wants to be. There's no logic to it, but I never gave a shit about it. It was one of those movies I just took for scene value. Like, oh, it's got a succession of scenes that I enjoy and I can remember the quotes. It's very quotable. But if you put all those scenes together, the fucking whole makes zero sense. Logically, it makes no sense. Anyway, it's really funny, but and then it's like, oh, it was who wrote the screenplay, David S. Goyer, and it was his first screenplay ever. And I'm like, yeah, it's like, I could see, it's like, on one hand, this is definitely a first screenplay, but on the other hand, man, how does like a young 20-something guy get the green light to write a Hollywood film, or he gets his script sold and it's this fucking bad? It kind of gives you hope, or no, it actually discourages you, because it's like, oh, it really is about who you know, isn't it? Because like, you know what I mean? Like, how does this guy get his script? It actually puts you down a little bit. Like, oh,
I've definitely seen movies where after you watch it, it's like the writer of that movie had to be somebody else's cousin, like
somebody's nephew, the producer's nephew. It's like, because it's really is about who you know, and nepotism's a thing. I mean, I hate to say it, like, it's all incestuous, the industry. But on one hand, it makes you feel good about yourself, because it's like, I can do this, and I could do it better. But at the same time, it's like, wow, this just proves that it doesn't matter if I can do it better. You're still up against the odds and just like people who know people and people's cousins and nephews and producers. So it's an equal part pat on the back and kick in the nuts. So I don't know what the fuck. But anyway, we're getting way off it. The movie was a fun watch. I don't regret it. I thought it was interesting.
Did your girlfriend watch this one with you? Was she like, what the fuck?
No, I had to make time. It's like she hurt her back and she was doing, her sister came over. I'm like, now's the time to get this watched, and I just watched it by myself. So, and I don't think she would have liked this movie. So it's probably for the better. But she loved Truman Show, the last one. We both love that. I think she gave Truman 10 out of 10. I gave it a 9 out of 10 just because that's my rule. You know, I got to sit on it. But anyway, that's all I got. I'm stoked to be honest with you. I want to do. I have the most fun with these. I love doing Cinematimas because it's like it's weird. I don't know what the human nature of that is though. But you get off when somebody listens to like the band you want them to listen to or watch the movie. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you were in high school, like, hey man, listen to this band. And it kind of kicks you in the nuts when they don't like it. Like, I remember I lent a friend of mine in middle school. He was a hip hop kid and I was a rock kid and into Korn and Limp Bizkit and all that shit. And he was into like hip hop, and we exchanged mixtapes because we were trying to convert one another. And he gave me a mixtape of like Ice Cube, Nas, and a bunch of shit like that. Probably some Dre. And me, I think I was a little bit, I actually did like, I was trying to find the good in it. Maybe it wasn't like my cup of tea, all of it, but I'm like, I like this and I like that. So when I went to him, I didn't like give him like the full rapport, like, I didn't care for this. I didn't care for this. I focused on what I liked about it. Look, I like this track.
I like this. I like that. And this, and
yeah. And I like this, and but I focused on the good stuff. He was not as the same as giving. He just basically like, Yeah, it's not for me, man. And I remember Metallica was on there. It's like, why do they fucking talk like they're from the fucking 17th century? Like, why are they always saying like thou and fucking I dub thee? What the fuck is this shit? Like, oh, I felt a little crushed. Like, man, I was way more open and receptive to your music. But I'll never forget that. Like, why the fuck they talk like kid in King Arthur's court? Whatever the fuck he said. And I guess they do that a lot in the dub thee and dub that thou. I was like, shut the fuck up, man. But he was my first introduction into Ice Cube, though, because he had like, a bunch of shit from his solo records on there. I'm like, oh. But anyway, regardless, yeah. So that's why I like Cinema Enema. It's fun. And so I kind of want to do the next episode. Does there really have to be a rule on when we do it? I kind of want to do the next episode sooner than later, like in a couple of weeks. We should
whenever,
do it.
Baby. Whenever.
I think I would do it next week. I'm having so fun. Maybe we shouldn't do that, but maybe because the thing is we have to get into Halloween. We have to get into October, and it's September 18th right now as of this recording. We have to come up with a plan on what we're doing for Halloween, and we got to make some kind of theme with it, but while also pleasing our own egos and being selfish with it. I think we can do that. But we have time. So, and I think we can even do our Cinema Enema around the October season as well. Or if you just want to focus on commentaries, October, maybe we should stack Cinema Enemas. Basically, we have almost 2 weeks to do an extra Cinema Enema and get whatever shit we want to out of our systems before we have to do October. That's what I'm saying, right? So maybe it's not such a big deal. So I'll let you know. If I wanted to do 2 in a row, would you be open to that?
If you want, baby.
I kind of do. Let's just say fuck it. Let's do 2 in a row. I want you to watch Grave of the Fireflies, and we should talk about that one next week.
Dog.
All right. So, I mean, that's all we got. Hey, I don't know what else to say. Thank you guys for joining us. This one ran kind of long.
I can, I got some more questions if you want to read at least 2 of them.
Well, let's do 2 of them because I was going to cut them just because we're running really long on this one. But, and like I said, if we're going to do 2 in a row, we'll have whatever left over. But
exactly.
If you want to read a couple.
Our boy Gamer Guy reviews. He says The Truman Show. He says The Truman Show is my favorite Jim Carrey film. I like the premise. I love Carrey's performance, and it's one of those movies where on various rewatches you pick up different things that you didn't notice the first time. For example, in the prom scene, the band is playing a rock and roll version of 20th Century Boy by T-Rex. Big Chad Dick. I haven't seen Man on the Moon or Eternal Sunshine. The Majestic was okay. It's basically Doc Hollywood, but with Jim Carrey as the screenwriter who gets amnesia and ends up in a small town. It's got good performances, good production value, but it's very formulaic. Finally, there's a really neat behind-the-scenes video on Truman Show you should check out. It was a special they aired on Nick at Night that post the making of the film as the making of the show. Here's a link. I think I remember that. Hell yeah. That's some Chad shit.
Cool.
Yeah, you can find that on YouTube, baby.
Okay.
On the Truman Show, Sparky, he says, cameras, Chad. He likes the new cameras we have added to the show.
Oh, that's cool.
And he put, P.S. is great. I like it. We'll see if it'll work. Fucking big words of encouragement from our boy Sparky. Fucking hell yes. I'll go ahead and read one more. Oh, they're all. I found a clutter of fucking really short ones. On the Sixth Sense, Rana440 said back was, and then fucking cuteness short says pulls Isco Hind main release crow.
Why do we read these ones? I don't know why. I do too. Bees and disease to you too, as Red Fox would say.
Hell yeah. On Adrian Mendoza on the Green Sea, basically the director episode we did with Randall, he says, this was a great episode. Randall Plunkett seems like a cool guy. Randall is an intelligent, handsome man, smoldering good looks and eyes that seem to pierce through your soul, and an accent like chocolate. I've also seen Seconds and Primer, both interesting films, yet dense. I need to watch those films again. I will definitely rent The Green Sea. I plan on watching The Green Knight. Randall had mentioned that they had shot a portion of the film on his land. Hell yeah.
I want to watch The Green Knight. I think that's VOD now. And I don't like that guy. Like I said, I didn't like A Ghost Story, but I'm willing to watch Green Knight because it looks like it's got to be just a way different type of movie. But
fucking a 50-minute long scene where the Green Knight takes a shit right on the screen. Fucking they never cut. They never cut. And then they reverse it at the end to make it go back, and it's like acknowledging the duality. Fucking what would you do if your shit wanted revenge and all of a sudden it shot back up into you? Like, what would you do then? Fucking, I don't know what I'd do.
Did you ever watch The Green Sea?
I still haven't actually.
Okay,
I need to still. Yeah.
Okay, it's a Randall movie. It is like a surreal type of thing, but it doesn't go too fucking far. But I'm interested to hear what you think about it. I mean, like I said, I feel weird. I can't really give my honest opinion because I'm like attached to it in a way, and he's my friend. But I mean, I'm I'm an honest critic. So like I approached it just like I did any other fucking movie. But I'm interested to what you think about it. You know, I wonder if it would be in poor taste if we did a review of a movie like that. Like it doesn't matter. Like regardless if a movie was a 10 out of 10 or a 1 out of 10, is it weird if I do a movie like that I'm close to or attached to?
You have vocal performances in?
I do, but I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, it's weird. It's like
we should do a review and have him on the show to review his own movie.
Commentary. Oh yeah, maybe he'll let us do the commentary. You know what? He's trying to push, and he hopes to be able to get a physical release and get distribution. We should ask him, can we be the official Blu-ray commentary?
Mm-hmm.
I should ask, dude. I should put my foot in there, like, hey, because I don't think he would have one otherwise. I'll ask him, like, hey, man, if that mit's made, I'm putting dibs on it right now. We want to be the official Blu-ray commentary for the movie. We'll have you on, right? That'll be fucking funny, yeah. Just so we can get some BTM like representation on a DVD case. Anyway, yeah. Okay, was that the last question?
Here's another really short one on the Perfect Blue. Fucking our boy Devin Duncan, he said, great episode, very interested in checking out this movie. Fucking hell yeah, we have blue pilled that guy.
I still love that movie, and I don't regret buying it when I did, but right after that they announced the Steelbook. It's the same fucking movie, but it's got a cool book. Like, damn, but it is more money. I think that's like a cheap Blu-ray. You can get it for like $8. The Steelbook you could pre-order for $20. I'm like, well, I would have gotten that, but I won't re-get it. But I love Perfect Blue. I think it's awesome. And I do implore people, if you like Perfect Blue, to watch the other 3 movies he did. They're all very different. It's like, I like this weird, obscure psychological horror anime. I want to watch more of his movies like that. None of them are the same. They're all fucking different. Like I said, one of them's this weird, almost like a comedy that's set at Christmas, but it's kind of straightforward, but it's its own thing. One of them's the fucking weird, what's that fucking Nolan movie? Not Interstellar. You know what I mean? What's the Leo DiCaprio?
Inception.
It's one of them's like this fucking Inception thing where it's fucking really bananas. And then this other one, Millennium Actress, is really good. I'd say Millennium Actress is the next. If I were to rank them, it's like Perfect Blue, Millennium Actress, probably Tokyo Godfathers, and unpopular opinion, Randall's favorite, the Inception one, right? The Paprika. And it's a Randall movie. It's very fucking out there and nuts. But for me, and I think a lot of people call that his best, but for me, it's kind of, I guess it's at the bottom, but they're all good. But Millennium Matrix, that's a really good movie too. But yeah, you should watch all of them. They're all good.
Oh yeah, I will. Fucking, they're on my list. I'm in my fucking Frasier slump. Like fucking, I'm just addicted to this. Whenever I have time to watch something, it's like fucking. Of course, I'm gonna watch Frasier.
You said addicted to Frasier, and it brought me back. I remember when I was a kid, I had weird Zach humor, and I didn't realize I had Zach humor, and then I grew out of the Zach humor. Zach just never grew out of Zach humor. But I used to go around the house, being in like 6th grade, and I used to sing a parody of what's it called?
The theme song from Frasier?
No. What is this? Robert Palmer. I used to just, it wasn't clever. It was just fucking gross. It wasn't clever. I used to just go around to my brothers. Might as well face it. You're addicted to cum. Might as well. And I'm like, oh, like that's something Zach would fucking say now. And I'm like, I was saying it when I was fucking 8. Or 9.
Fucking cum addicts is another fucking alias of Mac and Zach Say the World. I just came up with it. Fucking thanks for that one.
There you go. Okay. Well, that's all I got. Is there another question or is that it?
I came up with the Loose Circumcision Brigade, or the Loose Circumcision Division. That was the newest one I came up with too.
Oh, yeah, it's the Loose Circumcision Division. It's kind of a tongue twister. But there you go. Wait,
here, let's go ahead and do.
What's the acronym for that? Could it be like our ICP? Loose Circumcision. Hold on.
LCD.
LCD. Fuck the LCD. That's actually perfect, man.
Fucking hell yeah.
Don't forget that. That's pretty good.
Fucking big Chad shit.
All right.
You didn't think fucking Baby Batter Boys was as good? You didn't tell me to not forget that one.
Yeah. Oh, BBB, Better Business Bureau. Lowest comedy.
Oh,
yeah, it's funny.
We'll read one more. Maggie Loves Movies on our Ken Park episode said, I like parks. The tall, hairy guy took me to the park once. It was nice. Besides the other dogs there, they wanted to smell my butt, so I barked at them.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a friend, somebody who listens to the show and like has just made up a fake account and just to throw in some weird fucking like nonsensical ones, or that's a real person. Fucking, it could be either. But Big Stacy, Big Chad, either way.
Okay. All right. Well, cool. Well, hopefully we'll have some questions left over for next week because I think we're gonna do 2 in a row. But I think that's all we got, right?
Hell yes.
So thank you everybody for listening. Like I said, if you made it through this whole damn video, kudos to you. Just please, if you didn't already in the past 2 hours and fucking 50 minutes, please like the video. Please help us out in the algorithms. Please subscribe. If you made it through the whole video, I don't know why you're not subscribing. So please do that. We're on YouTube, obviously, if you're watching us physically, but we're also on podcast services. So please leave us feedback. Like our shit on Apple. What?
You know what would have been fucking 5-head shit and fucking super hilarious if we trolled everybody and this whole episode was like 3 hours of us just going Malkovich.
I kind of am not against that idea, but I don't want to put in the work. So you can just take a clip of us doing it and loop it for 3 hours. Malkovich. You know, you do it for like fucking 30 seconds and you can play with it. But yeah, anyway, podcast services, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, everywhere that you get your podcasts. If you guys want to support us any further than that, we have a Patreon. We link that everywhere, wherever you're seeing us, watching us, listening to us. Patreon link below. $2 a month gets you early access to all the shows, exclusive content, exclusive podcasts. It's too late for me to pitch everything, so just look at it, shop around. $2 gets you quite the bang for your buck. And like I said, please let us know what else you want to see from us. We'll do our best to add it and do what we can to make the Patreon even better for you, because we'll work at that. We also have a Teespring. What's that?
Let us know what you think of our ICP first movie. I've been thinking about like, hey, maybe if this gets some new listeners or fucking people like it, maybe me and Matt can do kind of things like that. I was thinking like, oh, fucking, we can do like a tier list. We'll fucking rank the discography of like Blink-182 or something. Fucking big Chad shit.
I am having fun. Well, so on that topic, first, are you talking about the ICP one I did too?
Hell yeah.
Is it already out as of this?
Not right now. It's the next thing I got to work on.
Okay, so no spoilers on that. Yeah, wouldn't that be fucked up if we had a whole new legion of fan base? It's like when you look at the analytics, it's like, 25% women. You know, what if we have 40% men and we had like fucking 25% juggalos? Like, what the fuck? We just had like an influx of juggalos that liked our shit. That's whatever, man. Money all spends the same. I guess even juggalo currency, but no, that's fun. And I would like to do. I want to do music podcasts. I don't know if we have a lot of room to really commit to a time frame on when we put them out, but they would be fun to just kind of do when we can. You know, once a month, every fucking 6 weeks, whatever. But like, I like it's kind of I'm kind of ripping off the idea, but like sometimes. When Chris Jericho, every now and again, he has this real podcast, and every now and again he has an episode where he calls just like classic album clash or whatever, and he just gets a bunch of buddies together and they take 2 albums that are like sister albums and they'll like make them face off, track versus track. Like they have to be somewhat mirrored sister albums. Like, okay, Metallica, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, they're very much sister, like same track length. They did Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 because that was the anniversary. Not necessarily ripping off that entire concept, but just the idea that's funny, whether it's some kind of like comparison or battle off is fun. I'm like, that would be, they've done it with Beatles albums. Like that could be fun. It doesn't have to be sister albums, but just whatever, just the concept of
we'll do strictly sister albums. The band Sister.
That's a show. You mean Mr.
I was trying to make a funny joke.
But you mean Mr. Yeah.
No, Sister, the band. Fucking, we're not gonna take
That's
it.
Twisted Sister. Sister's the Maori. Okay, right. Whatever. I'm just saying, like, I think we should play with concepts, and I think it'd be really funny. Like, it would honestly be funny if you did that with take two of ICP's biggest records at their peak where they came back. Like, I have to sit there and pick and choose which of these babies that both should have been aborted is the better of the two. It's funny. Oh, yeah. So I think we should do that. I would like to do it. But anyway, that's what we got. Let us know what you want to hear. We're going to try and unveil some new types of content, like Zach's got ideas over there and shit like that. And we got a Teespring if you guys want to buy some swag. Apparently you can buy a Mac and Zach shirt with a cum load on it. I don't know what's going on with him over there. He's like doing cum tributes. That's a little outside of my fucking wheelhouse and above my pay grade personally. But if you want to buy a Revival House t-shirt that doesn't have any semen on it, or a BTM shirt, I think you could still buy Mac and Zach shirts without cum. I think
it doesn't come with cum on it. It's a shirt that says "Cover me in your white pee."
But you want these cum tributes? Like, wasn't that funny? Did I just start a new thing? Like, if they pay extra, will you jerk off on the shirt and mail it out?
Fucking, they will have my DNA and they can implicate me in any crime. Then that's a no-go.
There you go. Yeah. So, but whatever. And then we got Cinemanima shirts, of course, the show you're watching now. Check it out. Every little bit helps. All support is appreciated. And if you do own a shirt or you buy a shirt, tag us on socials, tag us on Instagram. Let us know you mean business so we can give you shout out and props and all that. That's all we got though, right? We're done?
Fucking do a big cum.
Big cum. Almost 3 hours on this fucking show, man. You know what? I went into this and I even told the lady, because like I said, she hurt her back. She fucking, what's it called? Herniated disc. And I'm like, yeah, and I've been sick all week. And it's funny because I thought I went into this like, man, I'm going to try and make this an hour. Let's see if I can. You know how many times I've said that? It never happens. Like, I think this is Cinemanima. We can do this now.
If you would have mentioned it, I would have tried to speed up.
But as soon as like I got into it, I'm like, I don't feel sick right now. I'm like in the mode. I was starting to like a little bit, but just because I'm so fucking tired and I don't feel good. But no, I always say that 3 hours, good for you guys, I guess. But I was going to do some writing. And I hate it because I'm like, all right, I'll be done by this time and I'll have some juice left to do some writing. Because, I've got 2 projects cooking right now. One of them is one with Zach now that we're not even going to talk about. So I think we should be able to talk about it. But I'm bouncing between 2 of them. And it's like some nights I feel like, okay, I'm going to work on this one. And I haven't touched our idea. I haven't actually started putting anything on paper yet. I just been doing all the outlining shit on my phone. Now I feel like, okay, I'm actually going to start typing this one out because I think we have the frame for it. But I think I'm going to work on that one tonight. But yeah, so we'll talk more about that stuff as it comes. Maybe some of you guys can finance some really shitty shit that we've got. I don't know. I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm just fucking, I'm trying to get in the writing mood because it's just so fucking bonkers. But anyway, that's it. Thank you guys. See you guys next week. We're going to do Grave of the Fireflies. That one will be interesting. I hope it's an interesting one. I'm really looking forward to chatting about that. So, all right. And we're going to get Riverman on for Halloween. We just got to throw it. I'm trying to probe them and kind of get a theme. We've had a couple people ask about what we're doing for October for Revival House. I think we need to decide that in the next week. So let's kind of like kick around ideas.
No, we definitely need to redo fucking Pet Cemetery too.
I did. And he was all about it. He loved the idea because it's just one of those things. It just keeps coming back. Like we've revisited that movie in some form or another more than just the last time. So he's down with that. Yeah. So maybe we can kind of like, make that part of the theme, or if it's not part of the theme, we need to squeeze that one out before October starts in the next couple weeks. So, all right. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye puppets. All that good stuff.
Revival House. Peace, y'all. That sounds like fire. Like this country used to.